another planet? Is Janet from 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 another planet?
Today's digital landscape with the spread of false information can lead to dangerous outcomes. It's crucial for everyone to think critically and verify sources and reflect on the impact of what they share. Let's promote responsible communication to ensure that truth prevails and actions remain rooted in reality.
The opinions you're about to hear on this show are strictly those of the panel.
The following program is rated TV MA LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me on the Friday Night Shit Show. So, for people who have nowhere else to go, like me, I guess. But yeah, there's always shit to talk about every Friday because there's always going to be shit in the world. I mean, even no matter what happens, it's going to be good shit or it can be bad shit. So we get a little bit of good shit tonight happening that are going on around the world and in our country. But first, I want to say hi to everyone in the chat and say hello. Hi, Jackie. I really appreciate you. I know you got to go to work here in a little bit, but I appreciate you stopping in. And I wanted to share the Gmail address for the Friday Night Shit Show. So if you have anything that you think is important that you think we should share, send me an email. You know, I really try to respond to all of them, unless it's spam. But thank you for sending me stuff. But yeah, there we go. That is what we need is just thanking everybody for joining us tonight. But hello, Lloyd Christmas. I really appreciate you stopping in. I hope you're having a good night. Hopefully it's not going to be too much bad shit. I want a lot of good shit tonight. So, but thank you for stopping in. I really, really appreciate you. I hope you know that, right? But I'm going to start off with this good news because we don't get it very often. And we've been trying to get this person out because all she did, at least that's what she felt, was trying to tell the truth about that she felt was election interference and some people doing things they shouldn't be doing. And she tried to get people to see what she'd found, and she ended up going to jail because of it. So I found this, and I thought it was pretty good. It says that Colorado Governor Jared Polis has now confirmed that he has commuted Tina Peters' sentence, saying he believes the election whistleblower's free speech rights were violated. So he held her speech that says the judge held her speech against her. So she should officially be free in just a couple of weeks with the release date of June the 1st. So I'm going to play this video for you really quick and see what it says.
The only nonviolent offender that is on the commutation list. She was sentenced to almost 9 years in prison. And to be clear, she deserved to go to jail. She committed a crime. What's at issue here is how long the sentence is. And I agree with the appeals court that in the sentencing hearing, the judge incorrectly looked at and considered her bizarre viewpoints, her speech, and held her speech against her. She happens to be somebody that's espoused what I believe to be what anybody objectively would believe to be incorrect opinions, conspiracies, etc. That is not a crime in our country. What is a crime is, along with two other co-conspirators, one got 6 months, one got parole only, accessed after a municipal election, election computers to download software for an independent audit prior to the software being updated. That is the crime. There were 4 felonies. Those felonies will stick with her. She's a convicted felon. And I believe that the 4.5 years that I'm commuting her sentence to, she'll be on parole along with a number of the other 9 next month, is a fair, just, and tough sentence for her crime.
Well, a lot of people don't think she should have went to jail at all, but at least she's going to be out. And hopefully she can get back with her family and enjoy, the rest of her life for trying to stand up for what she felt was wrong. But I hope it encourages other people to never give up faith that if you keep standing for what you believe, sooner or later, justice will prevail. That's what I'm hoping. And I was really happy to see that's what's happening for her. And I wanted to share it with you guys. So, but the next thing I have that I wanted to bring up, I thought was pretty interesting. So hold on, let me see. Let me bring it up for you. Let's see if I can find it really quick. Number 21. Okay. I don't know how I do this every time I get them mixed up. I have no idea how. But okay, here we go. I thought this one was pretty interesting. So I'm going to share it with you. And hopefully you guys will think is interesting as I did. It was funny too, also, because there's a lot of stuff going on with the California guy that's running for office. And I had someone share this with me, and they told me to share it because if we can get enough people to fly to California, in time for the election, that maybe they could help out from other states or whatever. So I'm going to play this for you so you guys can hear it for yourself and make sure it's turned up. The reason he did this is because he said that they're not going to be allowed to grill outside anymore because it's not good for the environment. So that's why he wanted to do this. But what he was saying was him and a whole bunch of his friends are going to be flying, getting them to come to California to vote for the Spencer Pratt. And they said that, you can come and vote because you don't have to have ID. or anything to prove that, you're even American. So why not fly in and help support California and flip them? So I just thought it was hilarious. But the reason he made this Happy Smoke 4th is because this woman is supposedly trying to get it to where you can't grill outside. So ban any backyard grilling. So I wanted to share that with you because I thought it was pretty funny. And I just wanted to give you guys a little heads up about it. But, honestly, if you think about it, if you don't have any rules on regulations on voting, why wouldn't a bunch of people want to rush there and vote for the person that they would want to win? Whether it's to, give free stuff away or to stop giving away free stuff. I mean, what's the difference? You know what I mean? I don't believe that you should be able to do it, but if it's legal, why shouldn't bunches of people just show up to vote for an election that they shouldn't even have any say in, since they're not even Americans or they don't even live in that state? But you can go there and look around and say, oh, guess what? It's kind of nice here. I think I'll stay. I guess I get to vote in this election. Whatever type stuff. But I thought it was funny. So I thought I would share it with you. But let's see. This next one. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good too. Okay, now this, it says the FBI has taken down more than 350 alleged child sex abuse offenders. And it's really great to see more and more people actually getting arrested for the crime of this type of stuff. Because you never see it on the news. I hardly ever hear anybody talking about it. They're always talking about, Epstein, but they don't care about right now, stuff that's happening right now that you can do something about. They don't even talk about it. So that's why I like to talk about it. But this was Kyle Carrozza, a creator for Disney, the Cartoon Network, and Nickelodeon, has been charged with possession of child pornography, children endangered. This is a major operation exposing predators in positions of influence. Thank you, FBI and Cash. And I wanted to share this little video.
The FBI has been nabbing more than 350 alleged child sex abuse offenders. If you guys didn't know, Disney, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon creator Kyle Carrozza charged with possession of child porn, children endangered. The FBI has been nabbing more than 350 alleged child.
That's great. I mean, I wish we had this type of stuff on the news every day, showing how many people are being arrested on a daily basis to try to clean our streets of this filth. You know what I mean? It's sad when you can't even let your kid play in your own yard. You know what I mean? They're not safe. I mean, they just convicted a guy that was driving a FedEx truck. He saw a little 7-year-old girl that he was interested in and just took her right from her front yard and murdered her. He got the death penalty, but heck, that'll be what, 20 years? If the family's lucky to even be alive when they put him to death. So it's just disgusting. And I want to see as many of these people behind bars as we could possibly get. But one thing I wanted to share, I'm going to copy it and put it in the chat really quick. I try to do this every time. And I'm hoping that. Put it in the chat really quick. And then I'll read it. I just want to tell everyone that if you're having, you or someone you know is experiencing suicidal thoughts or a crisis, please reach out to the Suicide Prevention Hotline at 800-273-8255 and or text HOME to the crisis text hotline at 741-741, and they're free and confidential. I want to say that because a lot of people don't even realize that there is somebody out there that will listen to them and help them out. So I like to start that off with it that way. But let me bring up this next article. Let's see. I think this is it. Yeah. Okay. This was funny when it came to me because it happens every so often where we get to see a person that's on this giant news cycle over and over again, talking about their kid that died in a shooting, or their kid that died at this other school shooting in 3 or 4 different states away from each other, right? And it's the same person portraying this character, and we've seen that a few times. Well, this guy right here that David Harris Jr. shared on his Instagram account, he said, "So you're telling me that the guy promoting the jab during the pandemic is the same guy that posted the video on the cruise ship with the hantavirus, or however you pronounce it." But what's funny is, if you watch it, tell me if you think it's the same guy. So I'm going to make it bigger so I can share it. But here we go. Watch this.
Now, I've heard of recycling bottles and cans, but I've never heard of recycling COVID crisis actors for hantavirus. Check this out.
Gorgeous, gorgeous girls get vaccinated. Gorgeous vaccinated girls get boosted. And gorgeous boosted girls get boosted again if you're eligible.
I normally wouldn't make a video like this, but I feel like I need to say something, so I wrote a few things down. I am currently on board the MV Hondius, and what's happening right now is very real for all of us.
Now, I've heard of recycling.
So to me, it sure looked like the same person. I mean, honestly, it did. I'm going to share the link in the chat for everybody. And if you think it's the same person, share it with everyone else. So people don't get duped again by thinking because there's a paid actor telling you it's true, that it's true. That doesn't mean it's true. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, let's I'm going to share that one in there because I think it's a really good one to share. But yeah, it's pitiful that that kind of stuff happens, and it shouldn't, because it makes people start to believe when there's something real. You know, yeah, is this another one of those fake whatevers? And you know, it's sad that people even have to think that, because we shouldn't have to think anything like that ever when it comes to our health or our family, to, you know, for us to worry about whether or not they're safe. And it's terrible that anybody would put us in that situation. So here we go. This next one is all about, you know, the whole COVID thing. That's one reason why I wanted to open it with that dumb little guy talking about a brand new virus that's supposedly going to be sweeping our country, and for everybody to be panicking and staying at home. So I hope you guys aren't going to fall for it again. But this is another one about a CIA whistleblower who has now testified before the Senate and about the lab leak theory, and that it was deliberately covered up, and that Anthony Fauci's role was intentional. So I'm going to play this for you, and then I'll share it if you want it later.
Fox News alert, Anthony Fauci's in big trouble. The little man in a lab coat got a lot wrong and never fessed up to any of it. 2 weeks to slow the spread, wear a mask, and whatever you do, don't say lab leak. Well, today, a CIA whistleblower told the Senate the deep state is still covering up where COVID came from, and Fauci helped them do it.
Intelligence community leaders and senior analysts downplayed the possibility that the COVID pandemic originated as a result of a lab incident. Dr. Fauci's role in the cover-up was intentional.
But the cover-up didn't start in 2020. It started in 2015 when Fauci had his own scientists change the rules so he could keep funding gain-of-function research, the kind that was happening in Wuhan. Fast forward 4 years, October 2019, the CDC, Johnson & Johnson, and the former number 2 at the CIA teamed up with Bill Gates's foundation and the World Economic Forum to war game a fake coronavirus pandemic, just for fun.
This was a coronavirus pandemic tabletop exercise, curiously similar to the events that played out during the COVID-19 pandemic. And it was attended by Dr. Fauci and individuals with IC ties like former DNI Avril Haines.
Here's what their pretend pandemic looked like. See if this jogs your memory.
CAPS is a serious respiratory disease. More than half of the recognized cases have required hospital care, creating a huge strain on healthcare systems. The fatality rate is about 10%. Even so, some people only exhibit mild flu-like symptoms, not requiring treatment in a hospital. Alarmingly, those people are able to walk around and spread the virus, not realizing they are doing so. Even worse, international travelers have been arriving at their destinations symptom-free, but within a matter of hours, becoming ill.
Weird coincidence, right? 2 months later, December 2019, China reports its first COVID case. Fauci immediately goes on TV and says it did not come from a lab.
Could you address these suggestions or concerns that this virus was somehow man-made, possibly came out of a laboratory in China?
The mutations that it took to get to the point where it is now is totally consistent with a jump of a species from an animal to a human.
What Fauci didn't mention, 2 months earlier, he'd already huddled up with the top virologists, and privately, they were all worried about a lab leak.
Dr. Fauci convened the now infamous February 1st, 2020 call. Some scientists on that call privately raised serious concerns about a laboratory origin. Yet, ironically, those same scientists later co-authored the proximal origin paper, which publicly dismissed the lab leak hypothesis. One author received a $9 million grant from Dr. Fauci's own agency after he changed his opinion from lab leak on the private phone call to natural origin in public.
Fast forward to August 2021, the CIA is 5 days away from calling it a lab leak. Then out of nowhere, the story changes.
As of August 12th, the CIA was considering calling this a lab leak, August 12th of 2021. And then that changed on August 17th of 2021. Right. And unfortunately, because the CIA would not provide us documentation that we asked for, we have no idea why that changed. It was significantly influenced by Anthony Fauci's injecting himself into the IC.
So Fauci cooked the intelligence to cover up how 1 million Americans died because he had his fingerprints all over that leaky lab. Then the Fauchmeister dropped the hammer on the truth tellers.
Following the CIA's COVID relook that culminated in 2023, the CIA retaliated against analysts supporting the lab leak hypothesis. CIA managers retaliated against them for their refusal to agree with management's middle of the night anonymous rewrite of the analysis, which changed the assessment to a non-call judgment.
Now, remember when Fauci swore under oath that he never, ever, ever, ever funded gain of function?
The NIH has not ever and does not now fund gain of function research in the Wuhan Institute.
Turns out he just changed the definition of gain of function and kept writing the checks.
Several of the BSEG scientists helped Dr. Fauci rewrite definitions of gain of function in 2015 to lift a funding pause on dangerous research.
So the very scientists that were commissioned to investigate COVID were, in some cases, the very scientists who were complicit in the origins of the gain of function experiments that may well have created COVID.
So the guy who may have funded the pandemic gets to run the investigation into the pandemic? You'd think the other party might want to ask some questions too, right? But Democrats couldn't find the room.
Senator Ruben Gallego, Democrat from Arizona, actually walked by us about 15 minutes ago. He saw the media cameras here, and we couldn't tell if he was joking or trolling or not, but he said, hey, what's going on here? And his staffer said, I don't know, and they walked past us. So he's on that committee. He's not in the room.
Earlier this year, the CIA finally admitted it. COVID most likely came from the Wuhan lab. Only took them 5 years. But there's just one catch. The CIA says they have low confidence in their own answer. So they're pretty sure COVID came from a lab. They're just not sure. Rand Paul says the rest of the agencies are still slow-walking documents, while the same people who got it wrong are telling you to get over it. The good news, Fauci isn't out of the woods yet. AutoPen gave him a pardon, but state prosecutors can still go after him. And the feds are looking into whether to open a criminal case of their own. And they should. 1 million Americans are dead from a virus cooked up in a lab, and someone's got to answer for it.
Well, I'm hoping that more of this comes out and the states start saying, well, we're going to do something about it. That's what I'm hoping. And what I'm really worried about is that when it comes out later, once all the evidence starts coming out about it not being, from that, I think it really was from a lab. And I think it was set out on purpose. I hate to say that, but that's what I think it's going to boil down to. And I hope they can figure it out, and take out the people that did do it. Because I think it's terrible. I mean, I never ended up getting COVID ever, and I didn't get the shots either. And I was tested one time, and I made them do a blood test because I wasn't going to let them put that up my nose. But it's sad that this is a situation, that we're at now in America. If you panic enough people, they'll do whatever you tell them. And that's really, really sad that people just are willing to put the handcuffs on and be dragged around without even questioning anything. I wasn't, and a lot of people were just like me that were very stubborn. And I thank goodness I get that from my mom. But what really scared me was a bunch of people leaking videotapes from laboratories that had beagles in them. Remember a couple weeks back, I shared a video that they let a whole bunch of beagles loose, that they were able to get all the beagles and let them go. And the reason they like to use beagles is because of their temperament. But I was getting videos, 3 different videos, and I've shared them years ago on the show, and I can't, I don't have that much data, so I can't save every video because I've done hundreds of these shows and stuff on my computer. I just don't have the money, and I'm not paid, so I have to, I'm paid $25 a month just to be able to air shows myself using StreamYard. So the videos that I was shared with people were videos showing that every single beagle in the laboratories that were being tested for the COVID vaccine died, every single one of them. But yet they went on to people anyways. And that's what, more and more of this stuff's going to come out. And I hope and pray that they can use all this, because this is all evidence that can be used in court. And the people that were involved in doing a lot of the stuff, even if they were involved, but they will witness against the other people. You know what I mean? Hopefully we can get more and more proof out. And that to me is very, very, very important. And I pray that we're able to do that. But yeah, I do believe that 100%. And the sad thing is I used to talk about this at the very beginning, and I got warnings and stuff because it was medical misinformation. Instead of them putting a big warning on the bottom, they just took my video down, wouldn't let me share it. And then they'd take me down for 2 weeks and wouldn't even let me post or say anything. So when I disappear, you don't see on my channel anymore, they either took me off completely because they already demonetized me because AI said that I play the same video over and over again or something. I don't know what that is. Repetitive. All I do is repetitive stuff. I just do the same thing over and over. But I talk about news every week. It's not my fault. It's news, but it's different topics I talk about every week. I don't talk about the exact same thing. So I don't know. I don't understand. But oh well, I'm just gonna keep doing what I was doing before. I mean, I was monetized for almost a month, and I didn't get any money. Nobody. I mean, people sent me super chats, but I didn't have enough for them to mail me a check. And if I ever get a check, I promise I'll take a picture and put it on my channel so everybody can see it, because I'll be as happy as I'll probably even frame it if I ever get one. But it's sad because, I don't have any say in any of it. But because it's mostly done with AI, I'm sure. They don't even have people, because you can't even get anyone to ask a question or nothing. So, oh well, that's the way it is. But that's why I'm going to try to push my Rumble. So I'm going to get that real quick while I'm thinking about it. I'm going to get my Rumble and share it, because if you can, I'd really appreciate it. if you would, do I even have it on here? Oh, I don't think I have it, but it's at Janet's Universe. If you guys want to follow me on Rumble, if you're on there, I'd really appreciate having you follow me over there, because, I don't know how long I'll even have this one because, man, sometimes the shit really does hit the fan, if you know what I'm saying. But, yeah, this whole thing was really, really messed up. I mean, more and more that comes out, the more I blame quite a few people. But I think this whole thing was planned, and they were expecting Hillary Clinton to be the president at the time, because people like me would have been put in camps. I definitely believe that. But this next one I want to share is a little bit more about the same thing, but it's more information about it. So it's gives you another look into what we were talking about, the same subject, but with different people talking about things with it. But this is a nurse that's blowing the lid off the COVID shot. So she wants you to know what happened in the hospitals as COVID was happening. And she's willing to go on camera, and she's going to give her testimony, basically. So here we go. I'm going to play it for you.
Okay, well, can you tell us your name?
Yes, my name's Gail McCrae.
And you were a nurse during COVID.
I was.
So which area are we going to start at? Why don't you just start telling us what you saw as a nurse? You've heard a lot of these hospital protocol
Yes.
killings,
Well,
as we call them.
I think one of the important things about my situation is that I was working in the Bay Area of California, where we had one of the most compliant populations in the country. So we were compliant with not just the lockdowns and the masking, but also the COVID injections. So in my community, when COVID was first announced and they locked down the hospitals and they stopped the elective surgeries, our hospital completely emptied out. And this was when I really first saw that we were being lied to, because the public was being told in the news that the hospitals were full and overwhelmed, and they weren't. I had colleagues all over the state of California who worked in units all over the hospital in the acute care setting, and not once during that first year of COVID in 2020 and the winter of 2021 were our hospitals overwhelmed. I would say,
I want to add something to what she just said. I haven't always done this myself for a while. I have been a wrench in a lot of channels, like for, I can't remember, but I used to go in and watch Nerdrotic and Doomcock. I was watching Clobby of Clobbering Times, about Star Trek and stuff. Az versus Babyface, heel versus Babyface. I wasn't watching lots of channels. And during that time, there was other smaller channels that I liked, a lot of people in, and there was a few of them that were able to get money and go to some of these hospitals, these big hospitals, to see these scenes that they were showing on the news, how they had all these people on gurneys in the hallways and all this type of stuff. Well, I had 3 or 4 friends in different states. I went to the biggest hospitals they had, and it was like a ghost town. It was like the same people, 3 or 4 people in there with the sniffles or whatever else. It was not a pandemic like they were trying to make it look like, to make you all freak out. Okay, because I hardly ever wore a mask, and I traveled between New Orleans and Arkansas, back and forth for work and for my families and stuff like that. So, I didn't see it, and I traveled the whole time during COVID, and I hardly saw anyone in the rural areas masked up and gloved up and, freaking out and running around. So I don't know. I'm just very lucky. Even when I was in New Orleans, I didn't see a panic of people. Now, every so often, when I go to like Dallas and some of the bigger cities like that, and in Florida, I'm still in Florida a few times, I still see people driving in their car with a mask on by themselves. And that's another thing that's really sad, is because I kept a box of masks and it was empty, and I folded it flat and I kept it in my purse. And whenever I would go somewhere and they say, well, you need to wear a mask, and I'd say, why? And they said, well, it helps prevent the spread of the virus. And I go, no, it doesn't. And they'd say, and I go, give me your manager. So when he'd come, I'd hand him the box. I said, would you read this box? He goes, I know what it says. And I said, well, what does it say? So that your employees know. Okay, because it says it does not stop the spread of a virus. And I said, what helps most is this: washing your freaking hands and keeping them from your face. So that's the kind of stuff I did. And so I got a lot of people who didn't like me, but guess what? They let me shop in their store. But people would walk around me like I was some kind of, freak. It was going to make everybody sick. And I never got COVID, but I wash my hands because I have allergies. Okay. I have real allergies. So I could put my hands on a cart. And if somebody had lotion that had sulfur in it, I could get a real bad rash where my fingers would swell up and stuff. So I always carry wipes and cleaner and stuff like that. And I try not to be touching my face all the time. Just because of dust and debris and dander, just all kinds of things. So it was just really sad to see so many people freaking out over it.
There was, during the winter of 2020 and 2021, when this happens every year, people come in with the flu and the hospitals fill. It happens every year. It's been doing that for the whole 12 years I've been working in the acute care setting. So it was not unusual. We were not overwhelmed, and the public was being lied to. So that really opened my eyes to the fact that there were things going on that shouldn't have been going on. And then with the rollout of the isolations, they also started the COVID protocols. And I didn't notice right away the harm of these protocols until I had to tell family members that they couldn't come to the bedside of their dying loved ones. That to me was a crime against humanity and a violation of my oath that I knew right away should not have been happening. We isolate people in prison. We put them in the brig when they've done something wrong to torture them. And that's what I felt like I was being forced to do when I had to tell my patients' family members when they couldn't come into the hospital to be near their dying loved ones. So that was those small kinds of violations that I was recognizing, I think really helped me accept that I needed to more critically analyze what I was being told to do and what was happening around me in the hospital. So after going through those two things at the beginning of the COVID lockdowns, it really helped me to stop and think when I was being told to do things. Like the next thing was the administration of remdesivir. This was an experimental use authorization medication. It was the only drug that we were allowed to administer to patients who were hospitalized with COVID, and it was an antiviral. And I'd been taught in my undergrad, my bachelor's degree program for nursing, that you do not administer an antiviral more than 24 to 48 hours post-symptom onset for a viral infection. And so this medication was being given to patients who were hospitalized with COVID, usually not until between 10 and 12 days post-symptom onset. So I would ask my colleagues, why are we giving this medication? The administrators, my hospital, why are we doing this? And their eyes would glaze over. And I would say to them, we have evidence showing that the administration of antivirals more than 2 days post-symptom onset causes more harm than good. The risk-benefit analysis does not correlate. And in addition to that, this was an experimental use product. And I knew that each one of those doses was over $3,000. So that was another huge red flag. In addition to that, the next part of the COVID protocols that was so extremely disturbing to me was the fact that at the onset of hospitalization for COVID, there were a team of respiratory intensivists who went before Congress and showed them how effective high-dose steroids were for the treatment of patients who had COVID. And not only were we ignoring those recommendations for high-dose steroids, they were actually blocking it from our hospitals to use. So we have patients coming in who are being feared to death by the media. They're being isolated from their loved ones. They're having steroid treatments. So I'll say one more thing about these steroids, because this is really important. The COVID, whatever it was, virus, whatever COVID was, it caused more inflammation than we had ever seen in the hospital. So there's a lab value called CRP. And even with influenza and things like this, we had never seen the inflammatory marker of CRP jump so high as we did with COVID. So for the government and the CDC and these three-letter organizations to tell practitioners that they could not administer steroids, which is this is the best treatment for an inflammatory process, it was absolutely criminal. You can't withhold steroids for the most inflammatory disease process that humanity has ever seen. So we have isolation of patients, fear-mongering from the media, withholding steroids, and the administration of remdesivir. Those were the things that I went to work and had to manage, where I every day felt like I was violating my oath as a practitioner. And ultimately, it wasn't until after the rollout of the shots where I just couldn't do my job anymore. So that was the next part of what I witnessed. So I, like I said earlier, worked in the Bay Area of California for an organization called Kaiser Permanente, and they have a full scope of care. Their structure is set up to where you get your primary care, your acute care, the pediatricians, all of the medications, and your vaccines, all in the same organization. So with the COVID vaccine, they were administering it at my hospital. So when in February, so they released these shots to the practitioners in January of 2021, but they didn't release it to the public until close to the end of February. So by the beginning of March, I was starting to notice that my hospital was becoming slammed. And this is unusual because we get, winter rushes. This is how the hospital works. It's dead in the summer and it's full in the winter. Like, this is the cycle. And so I started noticing in March of 21 that it was very peculiar that I was starting to get all these calls to come to work because the hospital was understaffed. And it did not stop. I was in graduate school at the time for my double nurse practitioner degree. So I would do 3 weeks at the hospital and then I'd take some time off and study for my schooling. So by June, when I went into the hospital, I was there for 3 weeks. 3 weeks from March to April, and then another 3 weeks in the middle of June to the beginning of July. And I was working nonstop. I would work doubles basically every single shift. I was getting phone calls 3 times, sometimes 4 times a day to come to work because they were so understaffed at the hospital. And then in June, my manager approached me and he said to me, Gail, this hospital has had 3 times more admissions than we have ever had since the hospital opened their doors. So that's a 300% increase in hospitalizations directly associated to the onset of these shots. So,
do you mind me asking what you were seeing? Were you seeing heart conditions, blood clots, or were
yes.
you seeing COVID?
So, and this was actually, so during that week, it was the end of June, it was around the 28th of that month when my
So that was basically everything that she was talking about, because she wanted to share what she was seeing. So basically, she's just asking questions about, what, more details into what she said she was talking about. But the thing is that she saw all that and she knew it was wrong. She knew what they were doing was wrong, but she didn't really know what to do about it. But I had friends that were in the hospital jobs, nurses, some techs, few other people that did different jobs in the hospitals, the ones that cleaning staff, people that worked in the cafeteria, things like that. And they quit. They said they couldn't live with themselves knowing that they weren't allowed to talk about things. They weren't allowed to share things. And they said that they tried to talk people about not going. One time I went to the hospital because I was nauseous. I had nausea real bad. And I went, and they the doctor didn't even come in the room. He stood at the door, and he had a mask on and gloves. And this was like almost 3 years in. Right. This was like way past, and I'd never had it. And I told him I'd never had it before. And I said, but I'm very nauseous. I just need something for my nausea. I said, I don't have a fever. They took my temperature and I didn't have a fever. They took my blood pressure. I didn't have high blood pressure. I had nothing wrong with me besides nausea that they could see without, blood tests and stuff. And so they said they were going to test me for COVID. And I said, well, you're not sticking anything up my nose. So if you're going to do it, you have to take my blood. So they did. And then I had to sit and wait, but they put me on an IV because I watched them, the nurses, and they gave me, I guess it was Finagrin or something for the nausea, and I started to feel better. As soon as and plus I was hydrated because I think I'd been like 4 days where I was getting really dehydrated. But I figured it out once I started feeling better. I started thinking about what I had done, and I had sprayed Raid from my back door to my kitchen cabinet. And then when I saw the dead ants, I went, oh, I got to clean that up. And what did I say earlier about me having allergies really bad? I wiped it up with a wet wipe. I didn't have any gloves on or anything. And within an hour, I was so sick, but I didn't think about that being what made me sick. I just started feeling nauseous. And I thought, well, because sometimes I get headaches and migraines can give you nausea. So I just laid down, and next thing I know, it was 3 days later. I was still in bed. So my daughter was like, you better go to the doctor. So I did. And that's what I think it was, because I didn't have COVID. So it's just really sad, the amount of stuff that happened during that whole time. And I shared that link in the chat with everyone so that you could listen to that nurse or share with other people, because to me, that's what's important, is sharing the information that other people have tried to share with me, okay, so that I can share with my sisters and my family and any other people that I might know. And I do spaces, so I share a lot of stuff in spaces on X. I share stuff on my TikTok. I share stuff on my Instagram and my Rumble and my YouTube channel. So I try to share as much as I can, not because I'm trying to piss anyone off or anything. I just want people to have all the answers if they can find them. And if nobody's sharing it or even talking about it on the news, how are you supposed to find out anything? Right? It's research, us doing our own research for ourselves. But I want to share this next thing. I think this is it. Oh, it's hard for me. It's like trying to remember, pick the right things. Let me see. Yeah, this is it. All right, it opened, and I just thought it was interesting. I'm gonna play it for you, but it was the whole thing. This was sent to me too. It's from Fox and Friends. It says, burner phones had to be deployed and destroyed completely by U.S. delegation members traveling to China with President Trump to survive Beijing's extreme espionage threats. This woman here that she's got her this is Ashley Earnhardt. She said, I have sources that are on the plane. They had to leave their American phones and turn them off. They did not take them into China, or if they did, they left them on the planes. All of the Americans were using burner phones, and they had to destroy them and leave them in China. They don't want anything that belongs to Chinese on the plane because they could be bugged. And there could be spies. The scrutiny was so tight, apparently, the hotels and in their rooms. And not necessarily all on China's side, because I would honestly, would you want to bring back anything from China? Would you think that, yeah, I trust all this stuff? I don't trust their stuff. I'm going to play the thing in a second. But one of the reasons, the first thing that popped in my head when I got this and was reading it was, remember, I think it was not last year, but the year before, when all those pagers in one of the countries over there that's battling with, Israel, started exploding. They had a pager here, bam, and the pager there. They pick it up to look at it and blows up in their face and all that, because they had something in each of these, right? Some type of explosives in there. That's why I just wouldn't risk it. I wouldn't even go. Honestly, I was worried that Trump was even going, because I was like, I hope he doesn't eat any food there. I mean, I wouldn't even shake anyone's hand. I'd be petrified that, because, to me, the Chinese are willing to kill half their people if they have to get what they want. So put poison all over them, and to have the kids come up and hug them. The kids are poisoned and everybody's poisoned. I don't know. I'm just paranoid, I guess. But to me, it was really, really scary, the whole event. But let me play this real quick.
I have sources that are on the plane too, and they had to leave their American phones, turn them off. They did not take them into China, or if they did, they left them on the planes. They turned them off. They didn't use them. All the Americans were using burner phones, and they had to destroy them and leave them in China. They don't want anything that belongs to the Chinese
on that plane,
because they could be bugged. There could be spies. They had to check their security. The security was so tight, apparently, at the hotels and in their rooms, and they did do all the sweeps before the Americans went over there, especially the president's room. So I have sources that.
So that's pretty good. I'm really glad that they were that strict. And I'm really shocked that you didn't have a bunch of reporters getting off the plane bitching and moaning, I couldn't get, complaining that they couldn't take stuff or whatever. So to me, to be invited as a reporter to fly on Air Force One and get to go and do all of this stuff, I wouldn't want to do it, because I don't want to go to China. But the thing is, you'd think they'd be thankful for it, because that's like a story of a lifetime. I mean, what reporter wouldn't want to fly on the president's plane and get to give him an interview, whoever the president is? You know what I mean? So, I was really surprised that we didn't have any gripers, but I'm glad we didn't. I mean, it was really, really nice to actually have somebody that wasn't a crybaby on the plane as a reporter. But yeah, I just thought that was really interesting. And that's what I tried to look up. I tried to look up mostly stuff about Fauci, the COVID stuff, and China, because that's what most of the news was going. And I put in a few things, like rescuing children or arresting a bunch of pedophiles, stuff like that, with child porn on their phones and things like that. And that was a guy that worked for Disney and Nickelodeon and stuff. I was like, God. So I had to share that. I'm always going to share that kind of stuff. But this next thing I want to share, some more of the same stuff, but I think it's really good. But here we go. I like Glenn Beck, though. I like a lot of the things he said. And I can remember when he first quit his job at the, I don't remember if it was CNN or whatever channel that he worked for. I can't remember what it was.
This is Jamie Raskin.
Okay, hold on. But the thing is, I was really impressed with this guy. And after he left that one network and he started at the next network before he made his own, I think it was Fox or wherever it went to, he said, "Oh, it's so good to be able to actually tell the truth." I was like impressed by him that he was brave enough to come out and say that. But it's really sad that we have so many people that work for press that don't believe in telling the truth, because that's what they work where they're working. They know that what they're saying is half truths and partial truths, stuff like that, and they sleep at night. So I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they do that. I think it's pathetic that you're willing to take cash or whatever and just tell half the truth to people. To me, I'd be embarrassed to die and go to heaven and meet my mother, knowing I lived my life that way and have to look her in the face. I couldn't do it. It's terrible. But this right here is really interesting. This whole story that you can hear from Glenn Beck. It's only 3.5 minutes, but it's pretty good. He's talking about a rep, Jamie Raskin, he ripping into a 16-year-old high school student who brought up his concern that a Muslim group showed up uninvited to their school event and started passing out Qurans. Imagine the outrage that would have happened if it were an uninvited conservative Christian group passing out Bibles. How do you think that Raskin would have reacted to that? And it's just funny because I believe him, because I think it should be the same on both sides. If this person can pass out stuff, then this person should be able to pass out stuff, or nobody. So can't have it both ways. It's what my mother always said, and I believe her. Here we go.
Raskin yesterday trying to grill a 16-year-old high school student who is going in and saying, look, at my school, they were handing out Qurans and all kinds of things about Islam. They didn't get permission from the school. There was no notification, anything else. I couldn't have done that with my Republican club, let alone I couldn't have handed out Bibles and, rosary beads or whatever, at the school event. I just want, equal justice here. Then Jamie Raskin gets a hold of this 16-year-old kid. Listen to this.
Is there anybody on the panel who thinks that we need a special law addressing any particular religious population, whether it's the Muslim, the Christian, the Jewish, the Hindu, the Mormon, or what have you? Or are we just saying that everybody should be held to secular law in America? And I'm happy to open it up to anybody. Mr. Hunter Lopez.
Thank you, Congressman, for the question. I think that you keep referring to a secular law. I think it's important to point out, I believe it was 56 of the 57 Declaration of Independence signers were Bible-believing, faith church-attending Christians. I believe it was the first original 13 colonies that required a declaration of faith. So I'm not acknowledging that.
Well, wait a second. Now you're traversing my territory now, Mr. Hunter Lopez.
Stop.
You brought it up.
Listen to him. Listen to what he's doing. He's now making it about the kid and what he just said. Okay? You could say, okay, well, I disagree with it, but what's your point, sir? And no, now he's picking a fight with this kid. Go ahead.
Are you aware that the Constitution of the United States does not establish a religion? It forbids the establishment of religion. Are you aware that it doesn't mention God?
So the Declaration of Independence mentions God 4 times. But what I was going to say...
Is the Declaration of Independence law?
So Declaration of Independence was declaring our independence from the tyranny of England.
Yeah.
But what I was trying to finish is that I'm not, suggesting that we need to go back to taking, tests or saying that you have to acknowledge.
By the way, do you know that Thomas Jefferson was denounced as an infidel who wrote the Declaration of Independence?
Okay, now he comes in
because he didn't believe in the establishment of religion, and he and Madison were emphatic about separating church and state. That's the whole glory of our constitutional design in our history.
Stop. Here's what I wanted to do. What are we arguing about here? If you just joined this, what the hell are they even arguing? They are two, well, one is a 16-year-old kid who, by the way, I think is handling himself brilliantly. 16-year-old kid in a situation that way beyond his years. and a, I don't know, 50-year-old dirtbag who is very comfortable in prosecuting and persecuting people. But what are they even talking about? What are they even talking about? Now they're arguing about, did you know that Thomas Jefferson was called an infidel? Did you know that? Are you aware that there is no such thing as an establishment of a religion in our Constitution? What are you talking about? The whole point of this is fairness. We think that the Christians and the Republicans should be treated exactly the same as everybody else. And that includes the Islamists who are handing out, hey, Sharia law is neat pamphlets. That's what you're talking about. But again, nobody really wants to find the truth. Do you, Jamie?
That's the reason I thought that was interesting is because from the get-go, as soon as the young boy or the teenager started to speak, he didn't want to hear what he had to say because he already knew why he was there, and all he did was attack him the whole time. So there is no dialogue. If you ever listen to people being picked, to be in different positions, like when Trump was trying to get his people, for his administration, or they try to get a judge in or different things like that. They don't even ask questions that have anything to do with their job. Okay, this is their job, but they ask them this question: do you believe, this, that, or the other? And it's either yes or no questions, but they never answer anything. And hem-haw around it. Everything ends up being an argument. That's why when people say, why does it take so long? Well, if you ever watched any of these parliamentary procedure things that they have going on, you would understand why they need parliamentary procedure. And if they did it like they're supposed to every time, and quit passing it like that to where it drags out, and then they have meetings and stuff, and then they're supposed to vote, and then instead of even voting, they just say here or present, stuff like that. They do everything they can to put a monkey wrench in everything, because they want to drag everything out. That's why it takes so long to get anything done. Then when they get it on the books and it becomes a law, they have it forever, because you know how hard it would be just to get the law taken off. I mean, there's ridiculous laws. If you ever get a chance, look it up. I mean, there's laws like it's against the law to walk your duck after 9 p.m. Stupid shit like that is actually laws in states. And it's the same way in states. When you go to different things to try to get anything settled, nobody agrees with anybody. They do nothing but argue and push each other down instead of sitting, talking to each other. I think that's one reason why so many marriages end up in divorce, because nobody listens to each other. You're constantly yelling and screaming at each other when you're both basically probably saying the same thing. It's just that you wanted to do it this way and they wanted to do it that way. Instead of getting together and say, hey, we can work this out and do it half this way, half that way, and put it together. Guess what? It worked. But people don't want to do that. So it's just pathetic that we can't even. That kid was very well versed on the Constitution. He knew that God was in the Constitution 4 times, more than I think Raskin even knew, because he said God wasn't even in the Constitution. That's how much, because to him he isn't, because he's not a Christian. So, and the fact is that guess what? If you're a Christian, any of you out there are listening and you're a Christian, guess what? To a Muslim, you are an infidel. Period. So that whole thing that he brought up was just dumb, just something dumb to drag it out and waste that kid's time, because he only has a certain amount of time that he's even allowed to speak. But if he can't speak, because the whole time the guy's talking over him, nothing happens, nothing changes, nothing gets fixed, because they waste your time. That's what they do. So it's pathetic. It really is. That's why it's really important that you look into whoever you're going to vote for and actually have a conversation with them. Go to different events and get to talk to them, ask them questions, because then you actually know what you're getting. People can say whatever they want in a commercial because they're not even having to speak to a real person. It's just plastered all of it. And then you got to pay millions of dollars to get it on TV. And I don't even watch television. This right here, this is it. This is my life right here, basically. This is my social life. is that I pay too. I pay to do this. I pay $25 a month just so I can have streaming service, and then I stream. And if people want to listen to me, fine. If they don't, so I'm fine with that too. You know, it's just like click, click, click with a clicker. You can change the channel and do whatever you want to do. But I'm not going to tie you to your chair and force you to listen to me. But that's what these people would like. They would love to tie you to your chair and force you to have to do whatever it is they're telling you to do, because they treat you this way, that they know more than you. They're smarter than you. They know better what's for you than you know for yourself or your own families, because you're too stupid to spend your own money and keep going to work and take care of your own families, right? Because they're smarter than you and they know how to make your life better. So, and take your money that you worked hard for and give it to someone else who doesn't work. You know, or just walked over the border, hasn't even put in a dime. Yeah, that sounds like you really care about me. So forget it. I'd rather take care of myself. That's how I look at it. But yeah, it's pitiful. And I know I went on a rant, but I can't help it. Oh well, too bad. That's the way it is. I just get fed up because I just think it is so ridiculous, and I can't understand why other people don't see it. So here we go. Let me bring up this other one. I think this is it. Let's see, make sure. I think this is it. So let me open it and we'll look. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, this is it. This was interesting because earlier I played the thing from China talking about how you couldn't take your own phone and not to bring anything back with you from there because I mean, honestly, you buy a nice outfit, but it could have a bug in it, you know, sewed into it. They made it, you know, months ago, waiting for you to show up to buy something. So as soon as you put it on, they turn it on or whatever, and you're wearing this beautiful outfit, not realizing they're listening to everything you're doing, where you're going, everything. So, you know, I don't hardly buy anything. I try never to buy anything made in China. I know it sounds terrible, but you know, I just don't trust them. So, but I thought this was interesting. He's talking about actual heated physical clashes erupt between agents who refuse to give up their weapons. So I just want to play this for you. I thought it was pretty good.
Been some heated and physical clashes between the Secret Service and the Chinese police on the basically at the back doors of these events, including one very physical standoff where a Secret Service officer was being prevented from taking his weapon in as part of the protective detail. But things have all been ironed out. And as far as we know, the schedule has not been changed because of that. Martha.
Yeah, well, it's a tense meeting. I think that is that's pretty clear. Peter, thank you very much.
Been some heated.
I thought that was pretty interesting because since I don't watch the news, I didn't even know about it. It was because someone else, you know, shared it with me that I knew about it. But I mean, heck, I'm telling you right now, if you're on few apps and you just go to them a couple times a day, you can get all the information you want. And usually you're getting stuff that they don't even put on the news. You won't even hear it on the news ever. So it's like, you know, because you've already have one of the best ways to get information. You know, from X is one of them. I mean, honestly, I hear stuff on X faster because I follow so many different people, and you know, I try to check my timeline and stuff. And plus, I have so many DM groups that I'm in. I get tons of good stuff. I mean, tons of good, honest information. You know, right from people, and I like it that way. You know, because I like being informed. And I know most people want to be informed themselves. And it's hard to step back into the cave. You know what I was saying? Once you've been pushed forward and you've seen the light of all this knowledge and all this stuff that you can get like that, I mean, really fast. Is it going to be easy for you to go back into the cave and not know what's going on at all anymore? It's going to be hard. So it's going to hurt a lot of people when they start pulling back and not letting you have access to stuff. So that's when you have to go underground. That's why so many countries have underground systems where they know they'll get arrested if they get caught with stuff. And it's sad, but thank God I don't live there. Thank God you don't live there, right? And we have access. But I mean, just think about it. In Europe right now, if you said something about somebody because they came up and asked you for a date, and you said no, I'm not interested, and they get mad at you because let's say they're transgender, and they think that the reason you said no was because they were transgender, but you didn't know they were transgender. You just because you're married or whatever your reason why, but you didn't know. Guess what? Next day, the cops come and they arrest you because you said something mean to a person and you didn't call them by their right, whatever name or whatever it was. So it's pathetic, that's how it is. But it could come here one day if we don't stand up and fight for what we deserve, which is our rights. That's what our Constitution's for. We already went through this. We're the youngest country in the world, and we fought for these rights. People died for us to have these rights. I'm a military brat, so I can help it. I'm a real big supporter of the military, right? And I support my veterans. They did their jobs, and because they did their jobs all through our country's timeline, we're free. We can own weapons. I have multiple weapons. I've taken tons of classes for it. I do all that, and I've never had to use one. Well, I've shot a couple raccoons and a few other predators, but I've never had to use it against another person, and I pray I never have to. But I deserve to have the right to do it if I need to, because I can't, where I live, I might not be able to have a police officer get here in time, which I doubt they would. In the rural areas of, in Hillbillyville, it's really hard. But I deserve to have the right to do that. And so do you, your forefathers gave you that right. And we should defend it with our lives for the next generations and the generations beneath us, so they have the same freedoms as we have. And that's what I believe in, I really do believe in that. So I just wish more people seem to care about it. But I thought that this was interesting. And I was really worried when I found out he was going and that he was going to be in China. I was like, oh my God, he's going to want to eat a Big Mac or whatever from McDonald's. And, I hope he doesn't. I hope they take all his food or whatever. I was petrified. So I still petrified until they get back. All of them get back safe. I don't know what to think about it. But man, right now it was scary. And I can tell you right now, you could probably hear a pin drop wherever they went because the security was so tight. Their pants were squeaking when they walked. I guarantee you, it was really, really tight for everybody. But it seemed like he had a good group of, people with him. I'm talking about the reporters and stuff, because they seemed like they adjusted pretty well and they weren't all like, throwing tantrums and shit. Because you always see him, that's a dumb. He's pointing at all the people all the time doing that. I love that, I think it's great. But I'm going to share this next thing. Hopefully it's the right one. Okay, let's see. Get this up here. All right, here's something else. Okay, it says Fox's Brett Baer. He reveals the Chinese communists have just ticketed the Fox News crew using their mini surveillance cameras placed around Beijing. So I'm going to open this up. I don't know if you saw this. I tried to grab as much stuff as I could find.
Big Brother is watching. There are literally cameras everywhere in Beijing. We are outside the Haidian station, and I can count at least 20 on this corner. In fact, in Beijing, they've added 1,500 cameras just this year alone. They see everything. There's nobody jaywalking here because they could get a ticket right away. In fact, our driver parked illegally for 2 minutes, and he got a message on his phone that he got a ticket for about $40 US because they saw it on the camera. Now, there are real questions what the CCP's goal is about citizen tracking and social scoring. They say it's to make everybody feel safe. These cameras are watching every minute. They're everywhere. And while they're watching us here in China, we hope you continue to watch. Special report from Beijing. Big Brother is watching.
So I thought that was interesting because a lot of people they're used to this. This is how their government controls everything. Okay. You can't speed. You can't, I bet their crime rate's really low because they basically just chop your hands off or whatever, depending on what kind of crimes you commit. But that's in the cities. I'm sure it's hard for them to do all this technology out in the boonies, because like I was talking to other people, 15-minute city. Yeah, they can have those little battery operated cars running around constantly filming stuff and, sending information back to wherever their tower is and stuff. But it's kind of hard to do that out in these rural areas where they have dirt roads, and high grass everywhere. And it's just, you got bears and you got rattlesnakes and you got copperheads and water moccasins. You got all these animals and critters and stuff. They're not going to have a bunch of these people out there setting up cameras and putting things up, because why? There's just hardly anything going on, and you can't have those little robots and stuff that roll around because they'll just tip over somewhere, or some bear will get it, or a coyote, or or a wild dog, or boar. I just think it's funny, but it's going to be a while. I don't see how everybody keeps saying AI is going to take over everything, but yeah, it might in the cities, of course, really quickly. But if that's the kind of lifestyle you already used to living, I don't see you packing your stuff and moving away simply because, oh, look, they got a camera on the corner now, so they can see when I leave my home and when I come back. And when you come back and you get out of your car and you're carrying groceries, oh, they went to the grocery store, so they know that now. So, it's you have to pick and choose what kind of life you want to live. Do you want to live out in the country where you have, acres and acres of land, or do you want to live in the city where you're packed right on like sardines right next to each other? That, that has a lot to do with your own choices. You can live off the grid, It means you have to, burn stove, wood stove to cook your food and all those type of things. But there's a lot of people that never done that. There was a woman, I remember, I brought this up a million times, but when I was young, I remember my dad, because my dad was a jungle survival instructor, and I was his middle daughter out of 5 daughters, and I was his tomboy. So I went everywhere with my dad, fished, hiked, camped. I squirrel hunted, I deer hunted with my dad. I've done all kinds of stuff. But the thing is that I can take care of myself. I can tell you right now, I can go out and shoot a squirrel, and I had to clean it, and how to cook it, and I had to eat it, and try not to get any buckshot, whatever. But the thing is, I can do that. So if I won't want to do it, I'd like to get my nails done like any other girl. But if I had to survive, I think I could. I know how to get clean water. I know what kind of grasses I can eat in the woods. If there's certain barks that you can eat, there's tons of stuff to eat. If the summer, but in the wintertime, you have to have other things already prepared, or you have to know how to ice fish and how to trap animals, things like that. But you also still need vegetables, what roots that you can eat, things like that. So, a lot of people aren't going to survive. But I remember when I was a young girl, and I remember my dad and my mother talking about this woman they found that was gone for a week, and she was near death because, you can only go so many days without water, and she was severely dehydrated and stuff. And my dad was talking about the woman, and my mom got mad at him because he was talking about how dumb she was. And my mom was like, you can't get mad at her because she didn't understand how to survive. And he said she was found near a creek, yet she didn't drink any water. And when they asked her why she didn't drink any water, she said, I didn't have a cup. So what I'm saying is a lot of people are not going to survive if we ever get into a situation where you have to be able to live out there to take care of yourself, because they're so used to going Uber Eats, or, just getting stuff, someone else cooking it. And most of it's not even real food anyways. It's all like stuff I wouldn't eat. And I don't eat that kind of stuff, a lot of that at all. I don't go to a lot of restaurants or anything. But I rather not. So, I go to the gym and I work out and do stuff like that, but I'm talking about, fresh water, things like that. But, a lot of people won't be able to survive. That right there is a good thing to do with your family. Take your kids and go on a week-long trip in the vacation, to a cabin out in the woods. Go fishing, have a campfire, do that kind of stuff. Hiking, maybe take a floral fauna tour so you can look at where you live or near where you live so they can learn about the trees and the plants and things that grow around you, things like that. I don't think families do that kind of stuff enough. It's sad, but I think it's good that you do. Oh, your father was a U.S. Navy SEAL? Awesome. My dad was jungle survival in the Air Force, and that's what he did. He trained pilots. So when they crashed, wherever they crashed, how to get fresh water and how to find what foods they can eat wherever he crashed, or where their plane went down or was shot down or whatever. But and I had loved it. I loved going and doing all that stuff. And my sisters hated when they had to go, but I thought it was great. I still love it. I still love outdoors. I love fishing. I love doing all that stuff. And it's awesome. I mean, we have a beautiful planet. We really do. And I think more people would want to help take care of it. And I'm not talking about, not letting you have a campfire and stuff like that. I'm talking about not throwing, cigarette butts out the window and plastic bottles out the window, things like that. That's what I'm talking about. Caring about it, your planet. Dog poop is not going to ruin the environment. Believe me, because animals poop outside all the time. They always have. It's same thing in the water. So it's just dumb, some of the things that these people come up with, that they feel that's what's ruining the planet. So I don't even want to get onto that subject. But let me go on to my next thing that I had that I was going to bring up. Just give me a second. Oh, I'm just not very good at pulling this stuff up. But let me pull this next one up. It's number 15. It's just hard because they always seem like they're different. Well, here we go. I think this is it. Yeah, here we go. We'll push pause. This was kind of interesting because this guy right here is a piece of shit, at least in my eyes. That's my opinion, okay? From everything that I've seen, John Brennan is, I think he's a traitor, and I hope to God that we see some justice before the end of this administration's time, for the next elections or whatever. But his involvement against, the coup, the PP dossier shit, which was, can't even talk about Hillary Clinton at all, because I'm living in a state that her and her husband pretty much tried to run the ground, and I hope they never come back here. Hope they never come back. People are so stupid to vote for people like that. But, you have to live with your past, right? I didn't vote for them ever. None of these people. They were a bunch of sickos back when I was a kid watching these people. Ooh, disgusting. But I'm going to play this for you because I want you to listen to this guy and listen to the questions that he's being asked by a reporter.
I would like to hear what your justification was for supporting the dossier that was known to be false being used as source material in the second ICA.
I don't know who put you up to this.
Nobody put me up to this, sir. I'm here on my own.
I don't know what role you played or who you are, but it's a bunch of bullshit you just passed on.
Absolutely. The emails are clear, sir. The emails are clear. The emails are clear. The second question.
No, I think we're going
to.
We are getting reports from Reuters that there were FBI agents who were questioning people at Langley about Brennan's assertions to me in Congress that the CIA had nothing to do with the inclusion of the Steele dossier in the Intelligence Committee assessment. What do you think are the key components of John Brennan's tenure that these agents ought to be looking into and that would contribute to broader reforms within the CIA?
Oh, I think the most important thing is this notion of weaponization. Weaponization is real. Weaponization has been used against many Americans simply because John Brennan or Barack Obama and John Brennan didn't like a person's personal politics. You and I have had this conversation. I think we both agree that the fact that John Brennan refuses to take responsibility for his actions legally would allow for the basis of a conspiracy charge, in that if the conspiracy is ongoing, if the conspiracy to cover up his actions as the director of Central Intelligence is ongoing, that ought to reset the statute of limitations literally every single day. And so I think that there's a real conspiracy case here. I'm very happy that a grand jury is looking into it in the Southern District of Florida, and I hope something positive comes out of it. Positive in the respect that the American people can see that it doesn't matter how senior you are in government. It doesn't matter how important you think you are in Washington. You have to face justice just like everybody else does.
There was an email that went around from General Clapper, and Hayden. I'm sorry, not Hayden.
That's right.
Yourself and Comey, etc., that basically said we all got to get on board with this, otherwise it isn't going to work, basically. And I think that email puts everybody in the crosshairs. I would like to hear what your justification was for supporting the dossier that was known to be false being used as source material in the second ICA.
I don't know who put you up to this.
Nobody put me up to this, sir. I'm here on my own.
What role you played or who you are, but it's a bunch of bullshit you just passed on. Absolutely.
I just wanted to play that part again because it's really, really funny how it always seems like a certain group of people, rhinos included, just make everything into an argument. Because if you're arguing and your tempers flare, you're not going to concentrate on what it was that you were wanting to get across in the first place. So, and they're really good at it because they've done all of it. That's all they've ever done. They start off that way and they just use it constantly against other people, you know? So I don't know. Hopefully something will get done about people, you know, because people shouldn't get away with crimes. I don't care what the crimes are. Now, I'm real big about, you know, people that prey on children. I've shared on my channel. If you go look, you can see that I aired the sentencing phase of that guy, the FedEx driver that took the 7-year-old little girl, Athena Strand, and murdered her. Okay. He used her for his own selfish needs and then just threw her away like a piece of garbage. People like that should never breathe any air that we breathe. They should never get out of prison. And he was sentenced to death, but the sad truth is we know he's going to be on death row for 15 to 20 years at least. And it's because it's so freaking slow. They drag everything out. Why? Why prolong the agony for the victims instead of just taking care of business? I just don't understand that. Unless these people are put in the same position that they put the victims in, they're never going to change. And so that's why I think it's important that the victims are heard, period. Because if people would sit down, and I tell people this all the time that go, Epstein. I said, well, how many of the victims' interviews have you watched? Well, none. Well, why not? Well, I didn't know they had them. I said, well, see, if you actually researched anything, you would already know there's tons of victims out there talking about what happened to them. And guess what? A ton of them also took money. And they signed non-disclosure so that they don't talk now, and they probably can't go to court or whatever else. But that's because you didn't bother to research anything to find out any truth for yourself. You just listen to everyone else and just take their word for it. And that's sad that we live in a country where people just take everybody's word for something instead of finding out for themselves. So I hope that you know, after this 4 years, I hope that people open up and realize that I'm not going to go back into a cave after finding out information and researching and learning how to do this stuff. and then just go back and just sit in my closet with it's pitch dark and not know anything that's going on around me anymore. Why would anyone want to step back into the Stone Age after you've already touched technology? You know, it's just, I don't know. I just don't get it. I really don't. And I don't understand why people don't want to know for themselves the facts, you know, instead of listening to other people. Find out for yourself. And you be the one to tell them people, know, wow, you're so smart. You know, it's not that you're smart. It's the fact that you took time to look at something or read something that someone else didn't want to. Oh, it's 10 pages. I don't want to read 10 pages. Too much. Damn. So they don't really want to know the truth. So they don't. That's why they're just flip, flip, flip. That's why if you have a video that's longer than 30 seconds, no one's going to watch it. You know, they only watch like 10 seconds and then they go to the next one. 10 seconds, they go to the next one. Unless it really grabs their attention, or they watch 25 seconds. You see, that's how pitiful it is. That's why TikTok and things like that are such a huge hits with people, because they have no attention spans anymore. That's what we're raising people like that. And it's really sad. I mean, honestly, how many of those people that are hooked to TikTok you think can actually sit down and read a novel? You know, read Lord of the Rings, you know, like we did, or me at least, and a few other people like me, because I'm a nerd, you know, I'm not embarrassed to say that. And I love comic books. I got tons and tons of comic collections. I got tons of nerd memorabilia all over my office, and I'm proud of all of it. And one day I'll leave it to my grandchildren when I croak, and hopefully they'll say, wow, this is some cool stuff. And then they're going to go sell it, probably make money. But you know, we each have our own thing, but it's sad to see that the attention spans are like, they're just not there anymore. You know what I mean? We don't have people that are, I don't know, interested in doing any of this stuff. But I want to share this next one. I think this is it. Oh God, I'm so bad at this stuff. Yeah, here it is. Okay, I gotta push pause, open it up. I'm gonna open this up and let everybody see it. So here we go. Enjoy.
Fox News alert. We have all China's friends in a headlock. Their favorite gas stations, Iran and Venezuela, are offline. Now Xi's sitting down with Trump, and he says he wants to fill up the tank.
China's support of Iran. How big a discussion was that today?
We discussed it. I mean, when you say support, they're not fighting a war with us or anything.
No.
He said he's not going to give military equipment. That's a big statement. He said that today. That's a big statement. He said that strongly. But at the same time, he said, you know, they buy a lot of their oil there, and they'd like to keep doing that. He'd like to see Hormuz Strait opened.
China wants oil, chips, and lower tariffs. So we have a lot of leverage. And Xi said, well, how can I help?
President Xi would like to see a deal made. He would like to see a deal made. And he did offer, he said, if I can be of any help at all, I would like to be of help. Because,
he did say that.
Yeah, he did say that. And look, anybody that buys that much oil has obviously got some kind of a relationship with him. But he said, I would love to be of help. If I can be of any help whatsoever, he'd like to see the Hormuz Strait open. He said, if I could be of any help whatsoever, I would like to help.
We're watching a diplomatic dance. Neither guy can look needy.
He didn't ask him for anything. I mean, we're not asking for China's help. We don't need their help. Our position is very clear. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon.
Back at home, the media still thinks the gay Ayatollah is winning. The New York Times, Washington Post say Iran still has most of its missiles. Now, these could be deep state leaks, worst case scenario, trying to get Trump back in the war for money and regime change. But our military's top brass said today it's not accurate. We destroyed Iran in record time.
The numbers that I've seen in open source are not accurate. I think what also is not taken into consideration, it's more than just the numbers. It's the command and control that's been shattered. In less than 40 days, CENTCOM forces achieved our military objectives. Most notably, we degraded Iran's ability to project power outside its borders and threaten the region and threaten our interests.
They mostly have drones left, and we figured out how to shoot them down for cheap.
So those days of using high-value defenses to shoot down cheap targets are behind us. Quite the contrary, what we have been doing lately is using our own low-cost one-way attack drones attacking Iran, making them use higher and more expensive weapons.
The regime's getting desperate. Kuwait says they arrested 4 guard guys who tried to sneak into their country. And they're still causing trouble in the Strait. The Brits said one of their ships was seized. And an Indian vessel carrying goats reportedly sank after getting hit with a drone. But traffic's actually up. Cargo ships are turning off their radar to sail through dark. At least 18 ships made it out this week. Some from Japan, some from India, and our wall of steel's holding strong. 70 cargo ships were turned around. 90% of Iran's sea mines destroyed. And their mosquitoes, they're getting swatted.
Capability have been significantly degraded. If I just use my own professional experience, in 100 transits through the Strait of Hormuz, you would typically see 20 to 40 fast boats, and lately we've seen 2 or 3.
They went from swarming the strait to hiding in the shadows. Now the Iranians are choking on their own oil.
Karg Island. We've seen that there have been no loadings in the past 3 days. We believe their storage is full. None of the ships are getting out. None are coming in, so they're not able to store oil on the water. So they're going to start shutting down their production. I think that they are on their last legs, and the blockade, President Trump's blockade, has been a resounding success.
Cuba could be next. They just said they ran out of oil. The country's experiencing blackouts. And today, our CIA director's in Havana holding a secret meeting. He told them we're going to be open to working together, but they need to change. If Venezuela can get it together, so can Cuba. Just remember, Havana's just a short flight from Palm Beach.
Yeah, I know. The thing is that, all of this is a start. He's doing what he told us he was going to do. Now, a lot of people don't realize that when this whole stuff with Trump first starting out, I wasn't for Trump. I wanted Ben Carson. I really liked Ben Carson. I still love him. I think him and his wife are just adorable. And I think he's a wonderful, wonderful, good man. And I wish we had more men like him a good fathers, good people to look up to for our young kids to emulate as they grow up, like I do with my dad. Even though I'm a girl, I can't be my dad, but we need more of that for our youngsters. And I don't know, I just really liked him, but I realized he just wasn't mean enough. That we needed somebody mean to do the job, somebody who didn't give a shit. They would say fuck you to whoever he needed to. And sometimes we have to do that. Sometimes we have to stand up and say, no, I'm not doing that shit, and be willing to stand up to someone else. And that's why we need to put Trump. A lot of people believe that that's why he won. I believe that Hillary Clinton, when she went out on the stage and Podesta told her she lost, the look on her face, oh my God, she would have killed everyone in the room she could have with her eyes. She was so mad, so angry that she lost because she was supposed to win. She didn't even go to every state to campaign or anything. She only went to the states that she felt she had to, or where she was going to be treated like a goddess. And she didn't have to worry about it because she figured it was in the bag already. See, with the fake PP dossier and whatever else, they didn't need to worry about it. But they didn't expect us, the people that still control this country, even though a lot of people don't believe that they can. We came out in record numbers and made a difference. We overwhelmed the system. That's why they couldn't get away with it the first time. And now it worked the second time, but look how many weeks it took. It took weeks and weeks and weeks for them to get enough fake ballots to override, to bring the numbers up for Biden. Because I'm telling you right now, there's no freaking way that Biden got more votes than President Obama. It's just ridiculous to anybody to think that. I don't. And I didn't vote for Obama, but I can tell you right now, I talked to a buttload of people in lots of 7 different states, and they all really loved him. I mean, it was definitely I'm talking about the first time when he was first running, just talking to people about it. So when he won, I wasn't real happy, just like I wasn't happy when Clinton won, because I just didn't think that they were what we needed at the time. But when he did win, I didn't think he was won because they cheated to get him in. See, I didn't believe that. I still don't think that they had to cheat to get him in, because enough people wanted Obama to be president. But when Biden was running, I didn't talk to a single person, not one person that I ever talked to, all in the places I travel in: Louisiana, Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, and Florida. I didn't talk to one person that said they were going to vote for Biden, not one person. And all different races, all different religions, nobody. That's why I just had a really hard time saying, what, 81 million votes? There's no fucking way. And I worked the polls in 2 different states. I've worked multiple places in 2 different states over the years. And when I saw some of the films that were coming in and stuff, I was like, they're cheating. It's plain as day they're cheating, because anyone sitting there with multiple ballots in front of them and writing on other people's ballots in 2 different states that I've been in is illegal. You're not allowed to write on anyone else's ballot at all. And to see that, I knew that there was cheating. Now, I'm not saying it was in every state. I don't know exactly what states. All I know is that what I saw on videos was cheating. That's what I saw. And if somebody came to my table that I was working, that I swore an oath to not let these out of my sight until we were finished counting them and had them back in the box and locked. And they came and said, oh, you guys have to leave. We have a leak in the men's bathroom and we're going to close down for tonight. I would have said, no, I ain't leaving. All right, if we're going to leave, we all have to take these with us. You know, all 5 of us that were sworn in, because I'm not leaving these out of my sight. And they would have had to arrest me to get me to leave, because I wouldn't have left. That's how stubborn I am. And that's what I was told I was supposed to do when I was sworn in by a judge, you know, when I was working there at that one poll. You know, that's what I'm saying. There was a lot of people involved. And then the other ones that just left, they didn't know what they were supposed to do, because they weren't trained properly, apparently. And that's what you're supposed to go through, training before you work the polls also. So there's lots of ways they got away with it in lots of different areas. But they didn't get away with it as well as they wanted, because so many people were sharing videos saying, this is wrong, this is wrong. There wasn't enough ballots, or the ballots wouldn't go in the machines because they made sure that the certain ballots didn't fit. You know, stuff like that. There was just so much overwhelming evidence that there was a lot of states that were doing things in different towns. I'm not saying in every area of every state, because it wasn't. They only needed certain areas, and they knew where they needed ballots. And the thing is, and they were busting them in. They were doing whatever they had to get them there. And it took weeks to count. And thank goodness they had COVID, so people could have a reason why they needed more time. It's terrible. The whole thing was awful. But hopefully we're going to get it fixed, because I think all of everything that was passed or spent or whatever should all be put back if they prove that that was a stolen election, because that was a fraudulent president. And I don't think anything he signed into law or anything should be legal. It should all be stripped, because that's how I look at it. Now, that's just my point of view, like I've always said, but, you know, that's the way I view it. But let me bring up this next little thing I have. I'm getting close to the end now, but I can't help myself. I go on these rants. It takes a little longer, but I can't help it. I'm just very passionate about my feelings about this country and what people sacrifice to give us what we have. And if you look at what we have compared to other countries, we are so freaking lucky. We have so many rights. We can stand on the street corner and bitch and moan about how crappy our donut was this morning, or what a crappy cook that guy was down the road the other night when he made my steak. Whatever it is, you can say whatever you want, or how ugly that dress is that woman wore, you know, on some TV show or whatever we want, that kind of stuff. Well, as long as it's not, you know, death threats or something like that. But, you know, you can't do that in other countries. You can't criticize other people. So I wanted to share this because I thought this was pretty interesting. We believe that at least half of the hospice in the entire area around Los Angeles are fraudulent. So that's the opening line, but this is Dr. Oz, and I'm going to play his little thing here for you.
Unfortunately, we have a reality that, again, we got to face. A third of all hospices, a third of all these programs in the entire country are in Los Angeles. Ask yourself, how is that possible? It's not. There are not that many people dying in Los Angeles. We're not talking about California, just Los Angeles. So Kim and the team, with Janina Wugo and a bunch of other great folks, went through the list of all the people, and we believe that at least half of the hospices in the entire area around Los Angeles are fraudulent. And today we announced 800 of those hospices have been suspended. That's getting us, close to where we think we should be. 800 hospices that last year charged the federal taxpayer $1.4 billion will no longer be paid. Now, Mr. Vice President, if your core business was shut down by the federal government, would you call?
Yes.
You would call. Crickets. We have less than 20 who have complained. We're not even sure those are legitimate. 800 hospices shut down, and we're not hearing much. It's crickets out there. So we believe we're on the right path here. Next is a nationwide moratorium on all new hospice and home health care. Why is that possible? Because when we squeeze the balloon in California and slow their growth of hospice and now take away 800, the payments to 800 hospices, we know what those fraudsters do. They move to nearby Nevada. Next door, Nevada has a 7-fold increase in hospice already. Arizona, Texas, they're moving across the country. So we've today announcing a moratorium nationally. There will be no new hospices or home health care open in this country. If you have the program now, you can keep it. You can go to ones that already exist. We're not taking away any services, but there will be no new licenses granted until we can figure out a better way of working across government.
Awesome. See, that's how you stop fraud. You stop everything, stop making new ones until they can fix what they have already open. I mean, that is smart. That's how you run a business. You can't run a business until there's completely bankrupt, and then it doesn't stay in business, does it? So I like that. I think that's great. And it's nice to see when we have people like him that seem passionate about what they're doing. And this next video is the response of our vice president. So that was why I was I'm going to bring that up next. So let me do that really quick. Just give me a second. Yeah, because I wanted to hear what he had to say. I think it's this one. Yeah. Let me close that one so I get it off of the board. And I think it's this one because they just disappear for some reason. They just turn blue and it's a blank screen. I can't see what it is. That's why I try to keep them in order, is because they disappear. Yes, this is it. So let me pause and make it big. Here we go.
Well, so you're saying that we kicked off 800 fraudulent healthcare providers off of the Medicare system, and not a single one of them called the government and said, hey, you made a mistake.
We've had a handful of calls. We're not sure they're legitimate yet, but it's less than 20 out of 800, and we're auditing them.
Unbelievable. So at least 780 are not even trying to claim that they're not fraudulent. And again, those are businesses that we were giving hundreds of millions, in some cases billions of dollars to, not to provide services, but to make a fraudster rich. It's just completely insane. Drives home the scale and scope of the problem. So Dr. Oz, I want to make sure.
Just imagine, I'm trying to look at it this way. I recently, last month, I lost my dad, and he had hospice at the very end. And hopefully I don't get emotional. I'm sorry if I do. But to see money for someone who spent their whole life putting into the system, being taxed in their state and from the federal government. And then it's time for them to have a peaceful transition, right? So everyone has that opportunity to have that because that's what we have it for, okay? So that you can have the medications you need and the care that you need at the very end to make it as peaceful and easy as possible, because it's already hard to deal with your loved one passing anyways, and to make sure they get the care that they need, right? Well, to know that they had people that set this up on purpose to take the money and not help anyone at all, no families whatsoever, and there was no accountability, which was really sad, because when you're giving people money, okay, because you have a person that's supposedly on hospice, after you're handing this family or this person that's running this system for this family, right? And money's going out, money's going out, money's going out, money's going out, money's going out. Well, how many months are you going to keep paying that hundreds of thousands of dollars? How long is this person going to be on hospice? See what I mean? Usually, if they're on hospice, within a couple months, they're not there anymore. So after you've been given checks to somebody for months and months and months, a year, and they're still on hospice, you'd think the person passing out the check would be going, something's not right. But not even they did it. Because why? Because they were in on it. See, when you have this person, that person, that person, it goes up the ladder that way. That's why Minnesota and all this different stuff, you're finding it's going all the way up to pretty much to the governor's mansion, that they're all getting, yeah, thank you. And it's sad. It's sad because all that money that has been wasted, other people are going to suffer because of it. And that's what's sad about it. And they had a nice trip on their yacht or in their nice air-conditioned Rolls Royce or whatever it is that they got with all the money. Maybe hookers and pimps. I mean, who knows what they spent the money on. But the fact that we have an administration that's trying to save us money, and you have people pissed off about it. Pissed off. The only people that should be pissed off about it are the ones that are losing the money that we're taking back, because it's our money. It's the taxpayers' money. Because ask any teenager when they get their very first check and they hold it up and they read it and they're saying, who's FICA? Because they're actually seeing money coming out and going somewhere, but they don't know where it's going because they don't know what FICA is. But nowadays it's all electronic. They don't even see that now. They don't even have a clue. Half the people don't have a clue. And when they pull out that little piece of plastic to buy stuff from Uber Eats, if they would have gotten their car and drove to the drive-through at McDonald's, and it cost them $12.65 for their lunch. Well, guess what? They get it delivered by Uber Eats or by some other delivery service to their work, and now that same meal is $30. So if you're buying something like that every day for lunch, how much money have you spent in a week just on your lunch? And then you Uber out for your dinner. I mean, your whole paycheck is going pretty much towards feeding yourself, when you could go to the grocery store, buy stuff, and make it yourself cheaper, way cheaper than what you're spending on it. Ching, 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 because it's a piece of plastic. It's not money to where you're seeing how much money you're spending. See, it's a piece of plastic. So that makes a big difference. I really do think that's part of the problem. When you see nobody sees where the money's going. You take a ride in a car, cha-ching. You don't have to tip the guy or nothing, because it's all on a card. It's all on a piece of plastic. So they have they don't understand. Their comprehension is gone out the window. They don't realize that, oh, wow, they're in debt. They owe thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars a year just in interest that doesn't even pay for the things that they're charging. See, it just goes right over their head. I don't even think they understand that. And you talk to them about it, and they're like, huh? What are you talking about? But boy, they like to go to grandma's house, and grandma makes homemade soup and grilled cheese sandwiches, salad, and stuff like that. And none of them can even make that. Why? Don't they teach that kind of stuff in school anymore? I was a tomboy, so I didn't want to do all those things. I'd rather mow the yard and cut limbs off of trees or weed eat and stuff like that, more than wash dishes and mop and clean bathrooms and shit. I would hate doing that crap, but somebody's got to do it, because unless you want to live in a nasty, disgusting house. But it sure is nice to go in there and open your refrigerator, and it's all neat and organized, and you can find what you want to get something to eat, or to put your stuff on the counter on a nice clean cabinet that's not all sticky and covered with trash and bugs or whatever. That's nice too. So if you have that at your house, thank the person who's cleaning your house for you. Thank you for buying groceries. Thank you for cleaning the refrigerator. Thank you for letting me have clean dishes to eat off of. Thank people, because somebody did that. Okay. That's another thing. I see so many people that don't have a clue. Oh, hey, Bruce, I'm sorry. I'll check my Discord. Just give me a second. And let me shut this down. I'll go to the next one. Sorry, I went on another rant. I do that a lot. So I'm so sorry, but I can't help myself. That's just who I am. That's my genetic makeup. But this next one, let me make sure it's the right one. Yeah, okay. This is another Jesse Waters. I haven't had him on for a long time, but I've got a few this time. There was quite a few things that I brought up that he's involved in, and I think he did really good. So I think this one's it. Oh, it's just so hard. Jim Ferguson. Make sure that's the right one. That's not it. I pulled up the wrong one. This is it. Okay. All right. Now I got it. For some reason, it went way.
Tulsi Gabbard's office. Agents hauled out dozens of boxes, files on the JFK assassination and MK Ultra, the CIA mind control operation, which she was in the process of declassifying. Today's whistleblower said it during his deposition, and Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna confirmed it moments ago.
The reason why this is troubling is, A, there was an executive order that the president had directed the full declassification of JFK, but then also to the MK Ultra files. The CIA famously has said that, all documents were released and other documents had been destroyed. So these are allegedly those documents that apparently never existed.
Can the CIA overrule the president?
No, the CIA cannot overrule the president. The CIA cannot even overrule the director of national intelligence. In 1975, the Church Committee, which became the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, specifically ordered DCI William Colby to release all of the MK Ultra files. He famously went back to CIA headquarters and ordered that all of the files be destroyed. 85% of them were destroyed. He was held in contempt of Congress, and then CIA employees lined the halls and contributed cash to pay for the fine that he was ordered to pay. We only know what we know about MK Ultra because of the 15% of the files that weren't destroyed. These are among those 15% of the files. They are mandated to be declassified. The American people have a right to know what is in these files, and the CIA can't raid offices, least of all the offices of the Director of National Intelligence. It's real life isn't supposed to work this way. This is crazy.
This is something out of a movie, but the CIA was experimenting with LSD on willing and unwilling participants during the Cold War for intelligence operations and to exploit people, and it didn't go well a lot of the time, and they threw it all in a wastebasket, right? Like it never really worked. Is that why they don't want anybody to know about it?
I think they don't want people to know any more than what we know about, for example, dosing innocent citizens of San Francisco, California, or a small village in France and putting LSD in the yeast at the only bakery in the village just to see if everybody in the village would go nuts, which they did, of course, or coming up with a program in San Francisco to hire prostitutes to dose Johns and see if they would cough up their innermost secrets. Ridiculous.
That is so interesting. But that was a really good interview that he did. And I'm going to share, I want to get that real quick. I'm going to share this link in the chat for anybody who wants to watch that again. But yeah, I thought it was pretty good. But welcome, Bruce. How are you this evening?
Oh, I could be worse. I'm not dead. Let's start with that. The obvious, I'm alive. I got licked by some friendly doggos today. I went over to Night Watch Games and bought this brand new AV paint tray. And
Wow,
I'm looking
it's
forward
nice.
to using this so I can have myself more organized. I like organization. A lot of people know that because I'm a fucking control freak. I just gotta. I'm gonna defend Uber Eats favor for a second.
Okay.
I
You
know
can.
that like you're one of those guys, one of those gals that like, how dare those kids use a service that overcharges them and makes money. Brr. Hold on. I work in sanitation, so the truck I work in, I have a suction pump, and whenever air goes in, it has to go somewhere else. So I have an exhaust pipe that blows air out, and all of the normies walk past my truck when I'm in service, and they're holding like their nose, acting like, fat bastard farted right next to them. Okay, like they just like are trying to get it out of there as quick as possible. They're having a panic attack because I'm there just belching the smells of El Gordo Taqueria into the air. And it's only been closed up for 90 days, but it smells like a level 6 hazmat spill. It smells terrible. It's god awful. It's other humanity. I mean, that's just how I view it. And these normies are walking past me. Oh my God, this guy's making us die. No, not really, but whatever. That's fine. And I don't give a fuck. So anyway, I'm telling you this because I'm pushing out air. I'm belching out particulates of septic or grease or both. Usually both, because my truck exhales what you put in, and it never cleans itself fully. When you dump it out, you have residual stuff sticking to the walls, and so when I'm sucking in, it's agitating everything, kind of getting it all ready again. Well, whenever I take a lunchbox with me in my truck, it just doesn't really taste right because I'm thinking about the fact that like my lunchbox has been compromised, and I hope I double bagged all of my food, which I usually don't. So I've paid $35 for Uber Eats before. Not a fan of Uber Eats by any imagination. I absolutely despise Uber for the most part. It did keep me floated, but it did not make me the money that I needed for my car to have maintenance on it. And therefore, that car is no longer in my possession. Well, let me just tell you that I did the math, and a $35 Whataburger was a lot better getting delivered and having 2 days sick because I ate food out of my lunchbox that wasn't double bagged. And it's just that if I have anything in my truck, I have to seal it up. Otherwise, I get stuff. Who knows what particulates we have today floating in the air, but they're there. They're all there. And it's gross. So I'll be more than happy to, if I get really hungry, I'll either order Uber Eats or I'll stop by a fast food restaurant for $13 or $17, or I'll stop by a convenience store for 8 ounces of beef jerky for like $6. That's a fucking steal. 8 ounces of beef is usually like $6 or more. If it's cooked at a restaurant. Just trying to help you there with rationalization. And I'm not trying to beat up on you, but there is a value, there's a reason why you have those companies out there. And I want them to make money, because if I have to go out and I'm in the middle of nowhere and I'm fucking starving, my diabetes is like dropping my blood sugar. I don't think I have it, but fuck you. Anyway, I need food because I'm getting hangry right now, and I'm about ready to start punching puppies and hanging old ladies off clotheslines, just ripping down like fence panels to get to people. Fuck you all. Okay? I'm hungry. And that's kind of where the mindset is for somebody that really needs Uber Eats. They're already at their wits' end. Damn it, there's not even like a Howard Johnson's within 4 respectable walkable miles where I'm at, where I could grab some food and hike back over the course of an hour to my miserable truck. No.
Yeah, I'm going to share what Hardwick had posted. He said, I use the grocery delivery service from Walmart. It's very affordable, much cheaper than Uber Eats and such. It's not ordering one meal, though. He orders it for a week of groceries at a time. The thing is, that's great. I mean, I could do the same thing, but guess what? I still have to go get it.
Yeah, and the thing is
I don't
that
have pizza delivery where I live. They don't deliver nothing. I'm lucky that UPS and FedEx and stuff like that come out here. But if I wanted to order a meal, they're not going to deliver it. So I have to make food.
I'm sorry, Janet. I thought about moving out to where you are, and anyway, where I moved to, there's
You can't get pizza here. You have to go get it. You have to go pick it up yourself.
I could live there, but I would be unhappy. So I'm going to be here and be reasonably taken care of. I watered my liver tonight, and so I feel a little better. I had some good wine.
That's good.
I feel that I needed to clarify. I needed to defend Uber Eats because you're there beating up on Uber Eats yet again. Because you don't like a $35 fast food meal. Nobody does. But for my situation, I actually need either a store or I need a restaurant right where I park at, and I need to be able to go in and wash my arms and face before I sit down with my particulate covered clothing and try to be human for 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I need that. So that's the fact. I have a job. It's 12 hours long.
Mm-hmm.
I can't be like, oh, well, I'm just going to go take the truck home. It'll take me 90 minutes to get across town, park the truck, and walk into my home.
Mm-hmm.
Not mentioning how long it'll take me to prepare something here. Because if it's just eggs and steak, it's 10 minutes or at most. And I'm probably eating out of the skillet as I'm preparing the food.
Well, see, like me, I make every week, I buy one rotisserie chicken. It's already cooked. And then I buy all the stuff to make my own salad. So I spent my one morning and I make a big giant bowl of salad, and I shake it and toss it around, whatever. And then I will, throughout the next couple days, I'll eat a bowl of salad every day, one bowl, for dinner or sometimes two, or lunch. And then I'll put the rotisserie chicken on it, or I'll put some, one of those tuna salad things you can buy that are deli salad, tuna salad in those little foil packets, right? I'll open that and sprinkle that on my salad, or I'll put pepperoni slices on it, whatever, I'm in the mood for. And I'll put that on there and I'll eat that with cottage cheese, a little bit of, whatever dressing I want, and make a meal out of it. You know what I mean? Like that. Or I'll just make the rotisserie chicken. Then I'll make a little thing of potatoes, mashed potatoes, and a little bag of vegetables. And I'll eat that for dinner. But it only took me a few minutes because the rotisserie chicken was done. And then when I get down to where there's nothing left but the breast, I put it in a pot and I make chicken soup out of it. And then I add mushrooms and potatoes and rice and some other things in there. And it's really good. And I'll eat that for 2 days. My daughter and I'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm not home enough to have to worry about that much food being in the fridge. I will make a crock pot meal, but that'll be feasted on for 3 days. I made a pizza last week or a week and a half ago. It took me 6 days to eat it all because it was off of a cookie sheet. It was a big pizza.
Yeah.
And then, but I work a lot. So, and when I go to work, it's a nasty job. So I get to pay a premium for this stupid job, but it's the stupidest job I've ever had. And it's the greatest job I've ever had. I'll take it. I'll fucking take it because I lived in Illinois with no job. So that's the compromise. If you want to beat up an Uber Eats, you can. There's a lot of dumb people that they buy Uber Eats. They can't afford shit.
I was using it as an example for the plastic. Okay.
Well, the thing is that too many people buy it.
Use cash. When a younger person uses cash, they're actually seeing how much money they're spending. But I've listened to people speaking, in their 20s, that said, well, it didn't cost me that much. I just used plastic. It's just sad when you really start, and then they wonder why they owe so much money.
Why do I have no money? Why do I have no fucking money, Janet? Where's my money going?
Yeah, that kind of stuff. And it's pitiful because plastic makes it easy to spend because they don't even realize it's money. They're not looking at it the same way as it is if you have in a shoebox and you have to take it out and count it out. Because I'm telling you right now, I always got my checks and I tried to get them as many hundreds as I could. I get like 3 100s and then 20s and 5s and stuff like that. Then I would spend the smaller bills on different things. But when I got to 100, I'm like, I don't want to break it. So I always end up putting it in the savings.
Nobody wants to break that $100 bill.
So, it forced me to save more money that way but that's all stuff that my mother taught me. But we have young kids that are being taught by their mother that uses plastic for everything. And they never get out of debt. They're always in debt. So it's sad when you have kids that are being born and they're already, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in debt when they're just born. So, and that's from the government. That's not even from their household living expenses and stuff. So, but let me go to this next subject that I had pulled up because I've been talking about basically China, different stuff to do with that went on with Trump's trip to China and the stuff that's coming out about Fauci and COVID and stuff like that. So that's.
I mean, are we really surprised? Can I ask that question? Are we really surprised about all the shit that's going on about the little Fauci?
The Fauci. Who's really surprised about Fauci?
I'm not. It's the other people that are shocked. All the people that stood in line to get the shots and all that.
I want to reload this because I got no chat here, but I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and start this really quick. This is another thing about the CIA whistleblower has now testified before the Senate that the lab leak theory was deliberately covered up and that Anthony Fauci's role was intentional. I hope I didn't play this already. It kind of looks like, because I think I just found one a while ago that was already played. So I'm going to start this real quick and see whether or not. I think I might have done this already.
Do you remember, Janet, whenever I told people?
Yeah, I already did this. Darn it. Sorry.
My name is Dr. Fauci. And back in the 1980s, I was a lead researcher on AIDS. You know what AIDS is, kids? It's that disease that doesn't let you get well once you're sick. This is perfect for me. And so I studied it and I discovered who's the source of AIDS. And apparently in 1984, up to 1984, I only discovered that it was the gays that were the source of the AIDS. And so knowing what I know about the gay community, I put it in my medical thesis. It is recommended heartily by this office that all gay men are masked. If they will just wear their masks full time, they won't sneeze and they won't cough and they won't exhale. They won't be blowing their splooge out their mouth. They're not going to have the gay lovers baby batter going past their incisors into the public domain. Not infecting other people with AIDS, because that's the source of the gays. The source of AIDS is all the gays. Anyway, you're welcome.
You're welcome.
I love that. I love. You can go research that. YouTube, you faggot fuck. If you don't like what I said there, go ahead and you tell me I'm wrong. Because Fauci wrote that shit in his 1984 medical exam about AIDS. And he said the AIDS is being spread by the gays. And they're doing it when they cough. And he wanted them to put on a mask.
Yeah. know I
I
talked
got
about me carrying a box, a folded box in my purse to prove that masks don't stop viruses, but because that's what it says on the box itself. But I wanted to know if you heard about this. It says owner of the healthcare software company convicted of $1 billion Medicare fraud conspiracy.
No.
The Department of Justice crushed one of the most outrageous fraud schemes in Florida history. Okay, acting Attorney General Todd Blanche. This illegitimate operation stole more than $1 billion with a B from American taxpayers, including hundreds of thousands of Medicare beneficiaries. This was cold, calculated, industrial scale theft targeting the sick and the elderly. This kind of stuff just really pisses me off. We just went through this with Dr. Oz talking about what's going on with the, with the stuff like my father just went through with hospice, and they've shut down like 800 places in this one little area, and only like 4 or 5 of them have contacted them, and they're looking into them to make sure they're still legitimate. So it's just really sad.
Why is it always that they just completely drop the ball? Is it me, or I mean, like Medicare or somebody who's handling Medicare is like the one that you always hear about.
Mm-hmm.
For some odd reason, when there's a Medicare fuck up, like they put that shit on blast.
Well, that's because what it is, every single election cycle, I hear the same thing from the Democrats constantly. If you vote in the Republicans, they're going to cut your Medicaid. See, that's why they would say that, because now we're finding out why they wanted the free-flowing Medicaid, because they're buying yachts and mansions and fancy cars and hookers and all kinds of shit with the money that they're getting. Just like I said, what was the first thing I said when we found out about all the fraud in Minnesota about the daycares? I said, well, how many families are calling the government saying, I don't have daycare now, I can't go to work? Nobody, not one family with millions of dollars being spent called and said they couldn't afford daycare now because they took it away from them. Because that meant no children
Question
being
time.
watched.
Who here is going to trust their kid with a fucking Somali? I sure shit wouldn't. I would never trust any of my fucking family with a Somalian. Okay?
Well,
these people, those people, and I'm going to fucking just those people. That's all I'm saying. They are a cancer in their own society, not even including ours here. They are miserably bad at anything they achieve, at anything they do. They've got nothing. There's not an infrastructure. They don't have good running water. They don't have fucking fire or safety. There's shit fucking authorities and police over there. Trump is right. Trump's completely right. What?
When I talked about that one whistleblower who was talking about that factory in Minnesota that was all those Somalis, a bunch of them were working there, and they had signs everywhere about not urinating in the sinks and not washing their genitals in the sinks and not pooping on the floor and doing all this stuff while they're processing food, and then they're shipping it out. And he said that OSHA never came, okay, and that nobody cared that they were doing all this nasty stuff, but who was getting their food? Who was it? Was it Walmart? Are they selling all this Somali shit food at Walmart?
Hardwick's there unboxing his fucking lunchtime delivery. Going, what the fuck is this smear on the packaging?
Oh, you know what I
I'm
mean.
sorry,
but it's disgusting. You think about it, and the fact that they don't care, because they're paying these people's penny on the dollar, right? Not even minimum wage, basically, and they're all living in these little tiny things, and then they're doing all these scams, saying it's for this, that, and the other. The whole time it's these people that are bringing in the Somalis to do the work, for dirt cheap. or the illegals that were just coming over the border. So they were playing all these different systems, and they had the uppers making sure that the money was still going because they were getting their little take. And that's why you had all those people in Minnesota that wouldn't even sign the paperwork to oust their governor that has been proven fraud, and all of them are getting a check because all of them agreed to keep them. You know what I'm saying? So their whole thing is corrupt, all of them. And people say, well, that wouldn't work because too many people would have to be corrupt. And I said, well, it's working. So there's a buttload of people that are corrupt. It's scamming the system. And when nobody makes phone calls, I mean, honestly, when Doge first started, I heard all the whining and bitching about it, especially with Social Security. When you have someone that's 200 years old and they're still cashing checks, go arrest the person casting the checks. They're stealing from the government. They're stealing from other people who are putting in money for Social Security, thinking that something's going to be there for them when they retire. But each year it gets smaller and smaller because there's less and less money because people are getting it that never put into the system. And it's wrong. It pisses me off. Can't help it. I just get so mad thinking about it.
Please excuse my friend Janet. She's being an ageist right now. She doesn't believe that there's a happy 200-year-old man still watching reruns on the old reel-to-reel of The Price is Right. He got shipped when he was fighting off in Da Nang, and his family loved him so much they taped The Price is Right on a reel-to-reel and sent him that, and he still has the old reel-to-reel, and he gets to see the original host of Price is Right and the faulty props that made for bad games. Oh, Janet just being ageist against a kindly, thoughtful 200-year-old man who served his nation.
Yeah, I sure am. I'm just a bad person.
Bad
But
person, Janet.
I wanted to play this because this got sent to me late in the day when this is my one of the last things I pulled up, and it's about Thomas Massey. Okay, because this Gadsden said, I don't think the average KY04 voter in Massey's district is in Campbell County is being paid off. Okay, basically. It's 93% white district where the median income is like 60,000. These are white hillbillies who like Louisville College hoops, hardly Zionists. But I want you to listen to what this interview with Massey, what he's saying, because that was his response to this interview right here. So I'm going to play this. Do you know who Massey is, right?
I don't. Yeah, I know who he is. It's just I don't have a high opinion of him.
But
occasionally, occasionally he'll be like that blind squirrel that finds a nut in the winter.
Yeah.
But that's about his talent profile for me. I don't really value what he does or says.
But I wanted to play this so you could hear, and then we'll go back and look at what he said again, because he's basically talking about, because he lives in New England. He lives up there. So here we go.
The CEO of the World Economic Forum, had to resign because of the files that I got released. Can we just pause right there? The World Economic Forum used to be our arch nemesis. If you were America First, if you were MAGA, you were against the people who said we're going to eat bugs and you'll own nothing and you'll be happy about it. I took that guy out. Where's the applause, right? Like, that should be a front page article. The guy that runs that organization, gone because of the Epstein files. And so am I getting punished for that? Oh, hell yeah. These people like Miriam Adelson, Paul Singer, they might not have gone to Epstein Island, but they dine with these people. So, for instance, John Paulson, he's one of the 3 billionaires that contributes to MAGA Kentucky, which is neither MAGA nor Kentucky. These are people that are just as happy doing a fundraiser for Chuck Schumer and funding pro-abortion Democrats for state Senate in Texas as they are giving money for a ballroom in Washington, D.C. That's just the price of admission for them to go to the balls and be among the Epstein class. But let's talk about John Paulson. Even before the Epstein files came out, he was in the Black Book. This is an exclusive list of about 1,000 people for whom Epstein had private cell phone numbers. And it doesn't imply that they're guilty. It just implies that Jeffrey Epstein could drop a dime and call him whenever he wanted. And what we found out in the release of these files is that Howard Lutnick is a straight up liar to the American people. That's our Commerce Secretary. That's the guy on Air Force One that's behind Trump. He's behind the Resolute desk. He's, always standing there whispering in the president's ear. He was on Epstein Island. And he claimed he never was, that he had nothing to do with Epstein. But John Paulson, there in the Epstein files, we see that he was throwing a recognition party for Howard Lutnick and asking Jeffrey Epstein for $50,000 and got it. Jeffrey Epstein gave him the money, said, I don't even need to come. Here's $50,000 to honor Howard Lutnick. And he gave it to John Paulson. This is, Owen, it's a very small world.
Well, these were the same people that were fundraising for Hillary Clinton, too.
Correct. They sure did. They're the same people that gave to Liz Cheney after she voted to impeach Donald Trump. Do you think these are his friends? These are not his friends.
No.
They are interested in this race because I am the most vocal opponent to foreign aid. I'm the most vocal opponent to wars, and they need the wars. They want the foreign aid to keep flowing, and that's why they're against me. And the guy I'm running against promises to rubber stamp all of that stuff. He will be a total puppet for AIPAC.
Well, and it seems that that's where you have to be these days, especially if you want to be a Republican.
There you go. So that, I just wanted to give you guys a different perspective on what Gadsden was trying to say about who he was saying those certain people were that were against him and why they were talking bad about him. But do you really believe that Thomas Massey's the only reason anything got released? See that?
No,
I hate
really
it when they do that. I hate it when they take credit for something. They might have said it a few times, but they're not the ones that did it, because Massey's been in office how long? And other administrations were in charge, and I didn't hear him saying shit about it then.
Remember in 2008, Barack Obama went on a tear against the illegal immigrants. We're going to track down the illegal immigrants and bring them to justice and put them outside this country once again. Then Big Mike's gonna fuck me in the ass. And that was kind of what we heard on repeat. Every time the Republicans had a popular message, the Democrats would co-opt it, go immediately over to illegals. Their unions were happy. Everybody seemed to get along. Nowadays, the unions are kind of making their way towards a Republican ticket. Don't know what's going on there.
Well, the thing is that I don't know. I'm still waiting to find out the laundering and stuff going on in the unions. You know what? Have you noticed how quiet all the unions are right now?
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're just waiting for the leak to that little spring, the leak to spring, and then they're going to start moving away from whoever is involved in the the sponging of the unions, basically. So that's going to happen too, because it started with DOGE, just like we were talking about earlier with Social Security. When that started, then the next thing started falling, and they knew it would happen if Trump was president. That's why they were trying not to let him be president, and it worked when we had Obama in there, and it worked when they thought Hillary was going to be in, all that, they were able to get away with all this stuff. So do you think that's what I was trying to tell people? After going through this 4 years that we're going to have with things opening up and us finding out about fraud here, fraud over there, fraud, wasted millions, billions of dollars, and then having the level playing field that Trump is working on for us, because when you would go buy something, like in Norway, for a pack of cigarettes, a pack of Marlboro cigarettes cost you $22. Okay. And then they sell their cigarette here or their product here, and there's no tariffs on it. You know what I mean? So they would take our products to America, or America would try to sell our stuff there, and they would put so much a high amount of money on it, nobody could afford it except for the rich people. So I can see why in every country around the world, they think that every single one of us live in mansions and drive fancy cars and get our hair and nails done, and we all have fake boobs and fake asses and shit. I can see why they would think that. They don't think that anyone lives in a trailer house and goes without a meal. You know what I mean? That's what they think because of the way our stuff is sold in other countries. Well, that's going to, hopefully with all the tariffs and stuff, that's going to start changing, because if they're going to say, okay, we got free trade, which means you don't tariff us and we don't tariff you, that means your product goes on the shelf for the price that it should be sold. You know what I mean? So that means they look at it and say, wow, I can buy American cheese at this price, or I can buy bologna, or I can buy ham or pepperoni, whatever it is. I mean, what do you think would happen if Walmart built a super center in one of the poorest areas in China? When the people would walk in and go shopping, what do you think they would see with all the food? They would not know what to do.
It'd be analysis paralysis 24/7.
They would freak out. A lot of them would probably start having convulsions because they've never had that much food in their stomach, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Just like those North Koreans that were running towards the border when that they had that chance to get out of the country, and they were being shot in the back. And the few that did make it, when they went through and did physicals and stuff, they had worms, they had all kinds of things wrong with them because they were practically starving to death, and they were not healthy. And that's the kind of that's what the people live like in those countries. Because
Could you imagine if we got a reality TV show of a guy from another country who got him imprisoned here? Could you imagine what his correspondence with home would be like?
I don't know.
Dearest mother, I want you to know that I'm alive and well. Everything's good. I am residing with 4 men in an 8-foot by 10-foot cell.
Mm-hmm.
We are comfortable. A man comes up every day to feed us thrice a day, our own plates. I'm telling you, this is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
We are given an unlimited basin of water to wash ourselves and for freshening up, per se.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he would go nuts. Most people in other countries would not be recognizing the amount of freedom that we have. They would besmirch it, and they would not
Many of them
appreciate.
do. They talk about it when they get interviewed about why are we ruining our country? Why do we want to be communists when we're coming here and seeing how wonderful it is here? And it's not communist. This is you're free. You can make decisions. You can get this job or not work there. That kind of stuff. And you guys, all you want to do is, stop doing it. So it's weird, but I know people. I've had conversations with real people in this country, some from like South Dakota, North Dakota, Texas, Oklahoma, Florida, Louisiana, and a couple of them, and they're basically, criminals. These are people that, they're always going back to jail for some reason. And that's what they told me. They said that's their retirement plan is to go to prison, because he goes, when I was diagnosed with, I don't remember what it was. It was something, he had some kind of like a rip, a hernia or whatever in his lower abdomen. Okay. From a job that he had, he lifted something and he got a hernia, right? So he said he went and he robbed a gas station so he could get arrested, went to jail, and guess what? He got surgery while he was in jail. Got his teeth fixed, and he got surgery and all that, and then he got out of jail and he went and got another job. He said that every time he gets sick or he needs new glasses or he needs certain things, he just breaks the law and goes back to jail and he gets everything done for free. That's his retirement plan. And I'm like, just think about that. People actually do that because it's cheap, because you and I pay for it, not them. They get 3 meals a day. They get TV. Some of them even get those visits where the women come and, they get to have sex with their wives in prison. It's not even prison. It's more like a, I don't know what you call it, a resort or something. A resort where they can go and they can get, have procedures done on them and they get paid. They can earn money while they're there. They can get a degree, all paid for by us. If we make it prison again to where they have to work to eat, they have to keep their cells clean, and they have to do certain things just to be able to eat every day, stuff like that, I think they might learn something. You know what I mean? They might actually pay for their crimes, but to go there just to get your teeth fixed, get new glasses, to get a degree, to get heart transplant, whatever it is, I'm just throwing some stuff out there, but I've heard people say that's their retirement plan. And that's what they do. They just go and rob a store, no gun, that's going, and let's say they have like a bat or a club or something that's not going to get them, really high because they had a gun or a knife. They just have a club, or they just use their bare hands, that kind of thing. So they get a small sentence. It's not real long.
Yeah, not real serious.
Yeah, it's not a real serious.
It's not a grown-up sentence like what you'd get or what I'd get.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, it works. So. But people don't look at it that way. Nobody talks about it. I don't know. I don't know what they think. I mean, you got men going to prison or going to court because they raped a kid. Okay. A 10-year-old, they rape a 10-year-old and they go in and they end up getting probation because they sat in jail for 35 days to finally get to go to court. And they'll say, well, he needs probation. He's never been arrested for this before, stuff like that. Instead of looking at the victims, what happened to the victim? What happened to the victim? Why shouldn't they be involved in any part of this to find out what the punishment should be? If you do certain things to a dog or an eagle, you get more prison time than if you rape kids. It's you go dig up sea turtle eggs and you can go to prison and spend a fine longer than if you rape a kid. Just think about that. How is that justice? And how is any state think that that's okay? That's where we're messed up. It's flipped upside down. It's ridiculous. Until we make changes and start caring about
not going to change
our kids, nothing's going to change. Sad, terrible.
I just wanted to come in here and defend Uber Eats.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm done. I've already brought up all my things.
Okay.
Finished
You
everything.
tell them what we're watching on Sunday?
No, not yet. But you can. About our show on Sunday. A girl, guy, and a movie. You gonna tell them?
It's Magnum Force, part 2 of the Dirty Harry series. We watched Dirty Harry last week. I rated it a 90%. Janet gave it a 9 out of 10. Essentially the same damn thing.
Yeah.
Really weird that we crossed the streams like that, but we did. I was really impressed. This is a movie that we're going to be watching in her Discord. If you've never seen it before, talk to her tonight or get on her Discord and ask questions. Be there Sunday to watch this in earnest. It is going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good, another good movie, I think. But I was going to pull up. Let's see if I'm trying to pull it up real quick. Let's see. Where is it? Give me a second. I keep trying to rearrange this, but for some reason it never ends up looking like I thought it would look like when I set it up.
Interesting. I'm not understanding how you've got your arrangement set up right now. It looks foobar.
What is it?
It looks foobar.
What does?
The vertical, the portrait mode.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't look right.
Well, I don't know. I don't have mine open, so I'd have to
go
over and look at it. I don't know how to. Oh, there it is. Oh, it's split in two because there's two of us. It's not up above each other. That's what it would look like. So what's wrong with it?
I have no idea. It looks
And then
like
you got
the two portraits side by side instead of one partially down and one up, like on mine. But that's just me.
Because I guess I picked it that way. I don't know. See if I do this. Is that what you're talking about, like that?
Yeah.
Now look at it. Okay. Well, see, I don't like that. I don't want to be bigger, and I don't know how to make it the opposite way.
Make it big.
So that's what I'm saying. I didn't want that. But I was gonna show. Hold on. Let me hide that vertical thing again. Let me pull this up. So give me a second. I was gonna bring this up and pause it. Now I'm gonna open it up for everybody to see. Anyone who didn't see our show last week, that Bruce and I do every Sunday, is we did a review for the movie. What was the name of the movie again? Dirty Harry.
Dirty Harry.
Right there. And we talked about it. And I dressed up as Dirty Mary because there wasn't really a lead character.
Her character was a joke.
Yeah, it was supposed to be fun. It was just fun. So I don't know what I'll do next week because I haven't seen this new movie either. So I'll have to go through and figure out what I'm going to wear. But any of you guys that would like to watch this with us, let me know. And you can come watch the movie with us, and then we'll do the review afterward. But it was a lot of fun. And it was a real good movie. We both gave it a good rating. So just let me know. We'll do that. It was fun.
Janet, I want to get out of here. I
Yeah,
got
me
some things
too.
I got to square away. Guys, Girl Guy in the Movie on Sunday. We start around 3 o'clock. Might be before then. Go ahead and tune into our channels. Thank you.
See you guys later. Thank you for hanging out with us.
Boys and girls all over the world are being abused and tortured.
The worst moments of these children's lives, they're being videotaped and they're being shared with other offenders all over the world.
Many people would refer to this as CSAM, child sexual abuse material.
They are suffering and they don't think that anyone is coming to help them. But we can. We can build that army and we can go get them.
Come be a part of this team that is trying to push back this evil.